What up, Doe? One Pride. This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, the podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ashley Soden, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your, what seemingly is a daily dose of the double A's right now, and we are here to discuss another Detroit Lions victory at the end of what feels like a mammoth week, with the short week, with the Monday, with the football game against the Ravens not seeming that long ago. We've gone through that. We've gone through the Browns. The Browns game has happened. We're now here. I mean, I don't know about you, Ash, but I am absolutely exhausted after this week. But 2 wins for Lions football, and that is what matters, baby.
Exactly. That's all that matters in the end. And, you know, now we get an extra day to rest, obviously, because our next opponents are kicking off in about 20 minutes' time. So that's going to be fun to watch while I'm lying in bed. But yeah, we get a bit of rest to hopefully ease up and, you know, hopefully get some of our injured players sort of rested up. I know, obviously, as we're going to in a minute, one definitely won't be playing next Sunday night, which sucks, but it is the way of the game. And, you know, let's discuss how the number one defence in football was no longer number one. And, you know, we showed a certain team how to score on this defence, which is the main thing, showing up our divisional rivals and going for no contested lead in the division over the stinky Packers, yet they're still favoured over us somehow. Fuck you, Vegas.
Yeah, let's be done with all the national narratives. The Lions are here, just been themselves and proving everybody wrong. As I say, we're going to review the Lions' victory over the Browns. Let's just get all the stuff out of the way. Discord, if you want in on our Discord, let us know. We'll send you a link for that. The College Football Pod will be back. I'm losing track of days. On Wednesday, I am off, so a lot of good college football to talk about this weekend, and some big fraud watchers are coming into effect, so you're going to find out about those. So join us on Wednesday for that. Don't forget to like and sub to everything. We're nearly at 2,000 on YouTube. We appreciate everybody who rides with us here, so if you could push us over that mark, that would be fantastic. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so don't forget to support Herman Moore and this project over there. We are a Twitch affiliate as well, so if you want to help us that way, YouTube monetize, all that good sort of stuff, then, you know, we love that. But we love having you in the building, chatting football more. We've got the feedback form as well, so any suggestions for the show, just put them in there and we will get about them. Shout out to everyone in the building, especially as, again, we've organised this last minute, but my work has been crazy this week, and trying to work it alongside a short week doing podcasts every day is absolutely insane. So we appreciate all of you who do drop in at a moment's notice with us. Our marker is in the building. He goes 3-1, baby. Yes, we are, and aren't we feeling a lot better after that opening weekend against the Packers with that 3 in the win column? Now the Ram Man is in the building. He goes, what up, Doe Lions fam? What up, Doe Ram Man? Hope you are well. Perry Ball goes, hey, Antony and Ash. How are you doing tonight? We are very tired, but we are very happy. Victory Mondays always fuel us through the week. So, yeah, we're doing good. Thanks, Perry. Appreciate that. Ramman goes, we are top of the division. That's how we do it. It is. We're top.
Exactly.
Bears are not bottom, I don't think, at the minute after the win the other day. But hey-ho, we digest. He also goes, the Packers are frauds. They are indeed. If you've got any questions or anything you want us to talk about during the evening, just let us know, as always. Right, let's dive down into the news and get into this. So, some transactional and injury-based stuff. As Ash mentioned, we did get a little dinged up during this one. In terms of the transactions made since the game has ended, safety / special teamer Daniel Thomas was placed on IR with his forearm injury. No estimated return date for him, but he's had surgery, so expecting that might be a while. Obviously, wide receiver Jackson Meeks was elevated from the practice squad, providing some wide receiver depth and special teams snaps in the game. In terms of injuries, Sionavaki did not play in the game due to that groin injury that has been pestering him. Linebacker Zach Cunningham did not play with a hamstring injury. And then in the game itself, my oh my, how we were our hearts were tested in this one. Safety Kirby Joseph suffered a knee injury whilst he was blocking on the return of that absolutely stunning DJ Reed pick in the second half, I think it was, and he was taken to the locker room, but he later returned to the game, believed to be an aggravation of the injury that's been plaguing him since training camp, so he's hoping he can carry on battling through it, but certainly not as bad as we all first feared. Cornerback Terrion Arnold suffered a shoulder injury whilst making a tackle on Quinshawn Judkins, did not return to the game. It is not believed to be IR worthy, but potentially will miss the upcoming game against the Cincinnati Bengals. But Campbell's confident in having him back for when we're on the road against the Chiefs. Quarterback DJ Reed, he suffered a slightly more problematic injury. It's believed to be a hamstring injury. That was jumping up to get a contested catch against Jerry Jeudy. He was carted to the locker room. Campbell said in his press conference today that the injury could be IR worthy, but is not believed to be season ending at this point. Something similar, akin to what Marcus Davenport is going through at the minute. It's IR, but not terrible IR. And as the team have played 4 games, the players who are on PUP or the NFI lists are now eligible to be activated off those lists, specifically players such as Miles Frazier, Josh Pascal, Liam McNeil and Malcolm Rodriguez. And this is probably in the press stuff, but it was announced today that they are looking at activating Liam McNeil's return window, which is 3 weeks. So potentially the dream is alive in about a month's time, which makes sense. We're just about to head into October. It was said it was going to be November, roughly. They said he's a little bit in front of schedule, so some great news there. But this is the first one, Ash, where we've really sort of taken a little bit of a beating out of it, and it doesn't help that 3 of them are starting secondary either, as we're about to welcome Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and co to town.
Yeah, 100%. So luckily, Kirby managed to return. He was on the second quarter interception. Luckily, it was back for that sort of last drive for the Browns. That wasn't obviously the kneel down one in the second quarter. So he's back, luckily. Probably will be having a similar situation to what we've seen the past couple of weeks, where he's probably limited or no practices throughout the week, but then plays. The other 2, not good. I know obviously Arnold has been the target of ire from both the national media and fans because of the coverage busts, shall we say, the yards given up and that. But he suffered the injury in the one facet of the game that he's definitely elite at, which is the run game, making a tackle. Seemed kind of innocuous. Obviously, it's a shoulder injury, so he needs that because obviously you need your shoulder to go back balls and makes tackles. Makes sense. So luckily, even if he misses this week against the Bengals, who, were probably going to be a bit beaten up today because they're going up against the Broncos, who are a physical team themselves, and they've still have Jake Browning at QB unless something happens to him tonight, in which case they're going to have to turn elsewhere. Lessens maybe that impact of having to go up against, 2 of the best, one of the best wide receiver 1s in the league and one of the best wide receiver 2s in the league. But hopefully he'll be back and he can kind of bounce back, and we've got a league. The big miss is going to be DJ because he's been playing pretty damn good, other than week 1, which was terrible for pretty much all our defenders. He has been pretty damn good at corner, but in terms of cornerbacks in those 3 weeks. And unfortunately, just you could see he was going up to contest the catch, and you just saw something go. And he was tweeting after the game yesterday saying, for the first one in Honolulu Blue and that. So it seems he's in good spirits. But probably going to be missing until around the bye, just afterwards at least. So I wouldn't turn down an IR thing. I know the team is being very wary right now of using those IR to return spots after what happened last year, but he is the caliber of player that sort of meets that threshold where I'd be happy to do it rather than just season-ending IR in him. If it was, as much as I love the guy, if it was Rocky Sin that suffered that injury, more than happy to season-end IR him, not really return him and look elsewhere, which we'll get to in a second, some of the alternatives that were out there, because I've done a pretty big list. And it's good news, obviously, with the PUP NFI players now being eligible. There's stuff about them in the press stuff as well, so probably leave it to them. And then hopefully Varkey and Cunningham can be coming back next week against the Bengals, because, Varkey's good in special teams, and obviously we're getting some really good kicker returns right now, but his attacking ability, his ability in the coverage units, would really help there. And then Cunningham, well, we saw what he did in the Ravens game in terms of goal line stops, and he's plays a lot of special teams and he's good there as well. So having them back will hopefully give us that little boost as well on special teams to give us a little bit more of an edge than we've been getting recently, though this week, as we'll get on to, a lot better from them.
Yeah, exactly. Little surprising, maybe. Aleem's name has been mentioned about coming back off the list, but I think about Pascal, who was rumoured to be coming back in September.
Yeah.
He was rumoured in September, and Aleem was rumoured in November, and Aleem is the one who's been mentioned first about coming off this list. So I don't know what's happening with Josh, but it doesn't look very positive for him in what is his contract year.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and as probably his biggest defender, probably out there, it is worrying because we've been hearing about Aleem, we've been hearing about Malcolm, and seeing them do the videos and that. We haven't really seen much from Pascal, and we haven't seen much from Fraser. And given just we mentioned it, so we can mention it now. The fact that Dan also said that Fraser is behind on his recovery timeline. And he was also a sort of he was an October guy. So if that's getting pushed back and we're hearing from that, how far back has Pascal got? Which is disappointing because I wanted him to come back and just show a bit, even if it is just to get like a Davenport / Levi kind of contract where it's a 1 year proven deal, a lot of incentives, basically vet minimum, no promotion guarantee money, that kind of thing. Because I think as a edge 3, edge 4, he'd be good at that role, just sort of that big end. You play him in certain situations. Basically, what we use Tyler Lacey for right now in our scheme. He'd be great at that, but he's just not here. He's just not here, and that sucks. No,
it's a shame for him. And obviously, we want all these guys to come back and perform. But certainly, good news that Aleem might be on the way back because that'll just make our interior so much better than it even already is. And sort of speaking about the press conference. Given the injuries to Reed and Arnold, Campbell has said the team will likely need to look outside the organisation for some cornerback help, in quotes, for practice as a minimum. So not ruling out the possibility of maybe getting in somebody to come and take up some first team duty because you're getting into the likes of Khalil Dorsey and Yasin now at this point. Ash, as he mentioned, has done a list of some potential targets out there. So the market is not barren. As sort of free agents you've got out there, you've got Asante Samuel Jr., you've got Stephon Gilmore, you've got Mosley, of course, but knows whether his knee's right or not. You've got Kendall Fuller, you've got Caleb Farley, the old first round pick from the Titans, Nick Whiteside, who's obviously on our roster pre the 53-man cut. Or the other route that you can go down is you can go down the trade route, and I think we were discussing this after the game the other day, or maybe on the preview pod, about whether they would pull the trigger on a trade earlier rather than later, depending on injury situations. Obviously, Tariq Woolen was a name mentioned. Greg Newsome II, we've just seen him at the weekend, had a pretty decent game, all said and done. And then you've got the likes of L'Jarius Sneed in there as well. So, for practice as a minimum, I mean, the way this team goes, you feel almost 100% certain it's some kind of special teams guy coming in here, whereas they like to give their own guys the reps. But they didn't rule out the possibility that potentially this might be someone who can come in and can certainly at least challenge for one of those spots in absentum of our starters.
Yeah, definitely, which is why I know obviously a load of those names have probably been audience us around. Like, I know Peyton put out his usual 5 targets we look at, and it was the 3 trade targets and the top 2 guys on that list, which is why I added a few more of my own. Like Mosley, we know this team loves him, but is he healthy? Can he come back? I don't know. He's just put in there as a thing, so I know his name be a toss round. Like Kindle Vildor's has been tossed around today, which is what you said instantly. I said, I don't want to hear about Kindle Vildor. You might have to hear a bit about Kendall Vildor. The issue is a lot of these are the trade ones. Obviously, they're going to take picks, which we need right now. We're given how our cap is. We need those picks to get nice cost control players in. So is it worth the risk, especially when Tariq Woolen and Greg Newsome are on the last year of their contracts? You're probably going to have to sign them to a new deal as well. So that's more money coming out the future to pay Branch, Hutch, Sam Porter, all these Jack Campbell, all these kind of players makes that a bit harder. And then with Sneed, he's already on his contract, but it's roughly 15 million for the next 2 years. Over the next, so you've got 15 million next year, do 15 million in the year after. You're gonna have to change that. Like, he's going to be probably the cheapest out of free trade for in terms of picks. Like 5th, 6th might do it, but then it's the contract. And then you look at the other guys, and it's either they're good, but they'll be expensive and they've got some flaws. Obviously, Stephen Gilmore, Kendall Vild, or Kendall Fuller, they'll be expensive. They're also a bit old, so you're probably signing them for this year, and then you're going to have to hope that Reed comes back 100% and all this, and you can get some depth there. Santi Samuel Jr., very young, great at FSU, very much an anemic mould, except for he's got bad forward defence and bad tackling, and we all know this team values that in their outside corners. And then with Whiteside and, Farley, poor tackling as well, never played more than 170 snaps in the season. Great. No. And then Whiteside, he knows the system, but that will be more of a depth signing. And then you're really trusting Amik, and then either Khalil or Rock Yassin on the outside. And then you're starting having to mix people around you. Then move Branch down into the slot and put Maddox at safety. Do you do the opposite? Do you keep Branch at safety and put Maddox in? You're starting to have to move things around. So, if you had to sort of put a gun to my head, I'd probably say it'd be Nick Whiteside right now. But there's some names to sort of keep your ears pricked up for in case, tomorrow, because tomorrow's usually the day we bring in our tryouts and that. See who we bring in terms of free agents and that, and see, who, if any of those actually are the ones that we sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Duncan Stewart's in the building. He goes, "Good morning, men. Yes, Bengals are on tonight. New quarterback and 3 fumbles last game. Maybe a 4-point spread here. The Lions are 8.5-point favourites against the Bengals, but we'll get on to that as and when we come to it. We are massive favourites in that sake. Game.
Breaking news: Justin Fields has just fumbled on his own 43-yard line.
Again? Oh, is that the one I've just seen online? Anywho, yeah, they're not doing very well, the Jets, at the moment. They're getting beaten around. Grandizer must be very happy. Radman goes, not concerned about Cincy with Browning running the offense. We'll see when the preview comes up. Perry goes, we can't afford to get too many injuries. Pascal needs to be let to walk when his contract is up. Depends on what you got, but you can't be carrying too many injury-prone players on the team. That is for sure. Duggan says the 4-man line is rather healthy at the moment. Yes, it is. The 4-man line we've got currently is very healthy, so we will see. Radman goes, I can't see Brad pulling the trigger on a trade for a corner. He'd likely go the free agency route and then sign into the practice squad, more than likely. So, yeah, I'm not expecting him to do anything big at all. At this point, I've conditioned myself against that. Right, I think we got through most bits there. Obviously, yeah, Campbell talks about Aleem's window. Also, just the other little bit he mentioned on the miscues between Goff and J-Mo, we're just a little bit off at the moment. We go back to the drawing board this week. These guys will be fine. Obviously, just probably a little bit more on J-Mo this week and some of those drops. But, obviously the pick was a bad play between them. So the trouble with a guy who is so quick and so rapid, it's just, you can never be fully in tune with them. From week to week, things may change. So I don't know about you, Ash. I'm not too unduly concerned here. Like him, and he had a 1,000-yard year last year. J-Mo can get yardage here with Goff. Like, I think I do agree with Dan. It's some days the timing's just not there. It's not right, so you go a different route to win the game, and that's what they did this time.
Yeah, we'll get on to it. I have put it as one of my sort of talking points is the miscues with him, and maybe I know we discussed it on the stream, and then literally he caught a pass. But I know it's been a topic of discussion in the Discord today as well. That some people, I know I do side with Mike. That's why I put it in, because it's Mike Payton put an article out about it. It's like, damn, am I agreeing with Payton here? It did seem like we were sort of pushing that. Like, I know we obviously don't want to give up his confidence, but we tried a couple of times with the deep shots. It just wasn't working. Don't keep pushing. We'll get onto it later. But yeah, he said we kept going there, and eventually it worked. He caught a pass, but could we have gone elsewhere in between? Maybe done some successful things. I know you've got to keep him honest. Blah blah blah. We'll get onto it in a bit, but I don't worry. It was just a bad day for JMO. It happens like 2 of the drops were because he was near the sideline. He was just trying to focus on getting his feet in, and he didn't complete the process of the catch. It's fine. We'll be fine. It's just, and their safeties are good as well. So like he was always going to get bracketed a bit, and when you're bracketed with Grant Delpit, who's a good coverage defender, sometimes those things happen.
Yeah, it does indeed. Contrapastan is in the building. Hope you're well. It says curious about Rodrigo's timeline. Rodrigo's timeline is similar to Aleem's.
November. It's early November.
They're both November. It was initially thought Rodrigo would be a few weeks ahead of Aleem. Now Aleem seems to have leapfrogged him a little bit, but they were both penciled in for November from the start. So by December, they should both, at a minimum, be back, and probably a couple of games in at least, and be back up to mainly full speed. So Rodrigo's not far behind Aleem. I would expect to hear about his window being looking to be activated within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would say. So yeah, Rodrigo is not too far behind there. Anywho, let's go into the game. And Detroit 34, Cleveland 10, but not a scoreline which tells the story of a game. You have to go down deep into this one to interweave what happened. The Browns hung around like a limpet mine that threatened to go off for a lot of this game before eventually a few plays turned them over. Just kind of going through the general gist of this before getting down into the statty stuff. Lions started off with the ball in this game, but their first drive didn't go very far. It went 4 plays, 20 yards before punting away. And then the Cleveland Browns, to start this game, we wondered what their offense was going to be like, pulled off a massive 13-play, 88-yard drive, which took up over 7 minutes of the clock, and they kind of hit everything here. Flacco had a pass to Judy, then they started using Quinshon Judkins, who was getting those tough yards again and again and again. Terrion Arnold then got pinged on a penalty. It was Branch who got pinged on a penalty for defensive holding. Branch and Arnold both got pinged, but Arnold ended up getting the penalty, which I didn't think was right. The rock music end. Flacco hit a big shot down the field to Jerry Jeudy for 33 yards. Harold Fanning then got on a little bit of the action, and then they just kept grinding this out. They eventually got into the Detroit 10, and it took them a few plays to get there. 4 plays from the 1-yard line, but eventually on 4th and goal at the Detroit 1, they were brave. They went for it, and Quinshon Judkins, he got in, ran through the left tackle, so it was able to run in quite easily on the end. And the Lions, unfortunately, were 7-0 down early on as Cleveland came out with some bite. But then the offense came to life, and it took them just 5 plays to level this thing up. There's a deep 25-yard punt pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameer Gibbs was started on early, and then penalty on Denzel Ward from Cleveland, defensive holding. And then Jameer Gibbs, 8-yard touchdown run. This thing went really quick, really fast. Raymond had a good return on here. It got him to the Detroit 35 to give us good starting field position. But yeah, 5 plays, 65 yards. We evened this thing up. And then the screws start to turn. The Browns' next drive, it's a 3-play, 2-yard drive, ended with the worst interception you will ever see in your life, and the easiest pick that Kirby Joseph will get in his life. And I mean, the more we looked at this, the more we kind of looked at the play of Terrion Arnold here, completely jammed the life out of his receiver on the line of scrimmage. I think it was Cedric
Bond.
Yeah, it was Isaiah Bond. He jammed him up big time. I mean, Flacco throws a moon ball, which is going absolutely nowhere. It's about 15 yards in front of the receiver, just dropping towards the edge of the field, and Kirby just comes up and picks it. It's one of the worst throws you'll ever see in your life. I think even if the receiver doesn't get jammed up, he's still not getting to that thing. But it's great play from Terrion. Kirby mops up. The Lions take over, but unfortunately, points off field goals, specifically touchdowns, have been tough for them. They only get a field goal. They only get 16 yards on 5 plays before Jake Bates comes out to give the Lions a 3-point lead, and then this becomes the battle of punts. Both teams punt twice. Lions only getting 23 yards on their next 2 drives. The Browns only get 14 yards on their next 2 drives. Before the second interception of the day thrown by the Browns, and this one is one of the best interceptions you will ever see in your life. Flacco, it was a short pass intended for Jerry Jeudy. It's intercepted by DJ Reed. That's why he gets his name in the title of this show today, DJ Reed'em Weep. Judy's falling to the ground. Reed's basically tumbling over him, and with a full-length Superman dive, he snags this thing with one hand, gets up, and is able to return it. That's the play that Kirby Joseph is injured on, but it sets the Lions up at the Cleveland 5, and they are able to touch this. They're able to punch this thing in. Jared Goff touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and touches after the turnover. Points after the turnover finally come to the 4. 17-7 to the Lions. Browns punt again as their offense goes completely to sleep. They only get 3 yards on that next drive. Lions then get another field goal. The big 27-yard pass from Goff to Laporta gets them well down the field before they come up short. But Bates, Mr. Reliable, he hits from 58 yards, and the thing would probably have been good from 85 to give the Lions a 20-7 lead. And then Browns don't have time to respond. They just kneel it out to end the half. The Lions 20-7 up at the half, Ash, and it was tough going early. The Browns come out and surprisingly have maybe the drive of the game. The way they mixed up their play calling, the way they went after us, the aggression, the 4th downs, and really took us by surprise, which might have been the best thing because it woke us up. But a lot of penalties, a lot of ill-disciplined plays. It was another sluggish start to the game for us, and again, opening drive touchdown given up by the defense. It could have been better, but at the point you're 13 up at the half, you kind of recover after a slow start.
Yeah, fortunately it's the one clip I managed to get up from yesterday before today's podcast was our reaction to the touchdown, the Jenkins run, partly because I wanted to toot my own horn that, I predicted this by saying we always give up touchdowns on open drives. It's been 4 games. Each game we've given up a touchdown on an open defensive drive. It's just a thing. It might just be that something we have to live with because it gives Shep the day to then start adjusting, because you look at the rest of the drives just for this, even just in that half. Obviously, you get the interception, which is a really bad play from Flacco. Brilliant, but obviously brilliant play for Terrian to sort of jam up Isaiah Bond and get him off, because it seemed very much like Flacco was just trying to do a timing throw on the go route to him, and Terrian just completely fucks that up, which is great. But then it's punt, 4 yards, 4 plays, 5 yards punt, 3 plays, 9 yards punt, interception again, which was obviously the amazing one from Reed. 3 yards, 3 plays, punt, and then kneel at the end of half. They don't even get 20. Well, they do. They get about, let's say, 35 yards in the rest of their drives in the half. Shep adjusted really well. Again, second half they adjusted well, and then it was kind of punch, counter punch with some things. But yeah, it was a great drive from them. But it gave us the data we needed. We started adjusting, and then the offense started getting into their rhythm, using Gibbs on the outside a bit more, bringing the Porter into it when we can, starting to do those kind of things, and it worked. It's obviously got the 10 points off it, and then the punts started happening because we had to mix it up with Monty in again, and we have to keep him honest, and it started putting us behind the 8 ball a bit. But when we needed to, obviously I know we were set up on the 5-yard line by the interception return, but Monty came in on that touchdown drive, even though it was tough going, and he had to he's realised we all gone to a bit of success rate, and his yards per carry yesterday were shockingly bad. It's just the way he was. He had to be just kind of grind them out to then for Gibbs to start mixing and get the big runs outside. Did what he needs to do, and it was a pretty good grab by Amon-Ra for the touchdown as well.
Yeah.
It was annoying because obviously we go in and they're still it's 10 points. It's 13 points. But the way it's going, if they have some half-time adjustments, they can start bringing themselves back into it. Like, we don't want to be, as you say, we don't want to be like the Packers who let them stay in it, and then all it needed was a couple of defensive plays from them, and suddenly the Browns will be tied or ahead.
Yeah,
that two score lead was just enough to go into halfway. You're like, maybe we can do this, but we've got to make sure we keep executing in the second half.
Exactly, we've got to be better there. Big shout out to Mile Marker, $20 super chat there from me. Goes, great shows this week. Well done, Ant, Ash, Ryan. Hey, Mile Marker, appreciate you. Appreciate you and all the support you give this channel, and you're very much valued here. So thank you very much. Our Roar of the Lions UK man of the day from yesterday's in the building, Attila the Hun. Hope you're well, Attila. He was at the game, giving us inside info as the game was going on. He goes, I was in earlier and you were talking about Pascal. When, if ever, would you expect him back along with Wingo? As Ash says, Wingo's back, but right now with Pascal, good. We might not see him this season. Like, nobody's said a damn word about him. He's like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster right now. Just nobody knows he exists. Does he exist? I don't know. It goes, and he was back, but only played one game maybe. Yeah, Wingo's not played much. He was inactive for this one, wasn't he? So was Wingo inactive for this one? He's
been inactive the past couple of weeks since coming back. As we said, it's special teams. Tyler Lacey just plays all special teams, and when you get to the bottom of the roster and you're looking at those last couple of guys, that's the decider. Yeah, which sucks because I really like Wingo. I think he could offer a lot in that sort of role that we mentioned earlier. That as we'll get, so it's one of the ones I pointed out. I think it was for the curb interception you just get at the end, the way we do our scheme, blah blah blah, which I hopefully will write an article on this week because I need to entertain myself. To be so good at that, if we need a penetrator in that role, but special teams, he just needs to work on it. Sometimes that's what happens. Look at Jamal Jefferson, great player, just couldn't work out on special teams, and so he was inactive most of the time, which sucked balls. And I think he's still doing good in Tennessee. So long live Jamal Jefferson.
There we go. And just interesting thing, there were 10 drives in the second quarter of this game. Some games don't have 10 drives, let alone, but that was sort of how back and forth this was. 10 drives, that's like averaging 90 seconds per drive on this thing. But yeah, crazy. Anyhow, 20-7 at the half. Coming out of the half, Browns get the football, and as they say, still within 2 scores. Ball first, imperative that the Lions make a stop, and a stop they make. The Browns go 7 plays, but just 21 yards, and they are, they have penalties galore. We have a strip sack overturned. Hutch hits Flacco. Hutch was over Flacco all afternoon, forces the fumble. It was recovered by Jack Campbell, but unfortunately Brian Branch got pinged for defensive holding, which wiped out the penalty. However, he did make up for this with a PBU later on in the drive, and then the Browns end up having to punt, but we end up starting at our own 5-yard line as opposed to like the Browns 20 from the turnover. So yes, naughty boy Brian Branch, but as I say, he did make up for it. But the Lions, more importantly, got the first drive out of the way, but then a really, really bad throw from Jared Goff. That's all I can say. Rattler just pinged for a penalty, puts us back at our own 22. Goff throws this thing deep. He puts a lot of air miles on it, but he is well short of Jameson Williams, who's about 5 yards in front of the pass. Denzel Ward picks this thing off at the Cleveland 45. He returns it 13 yards to the Detroit 42, and there you're thinking, oh boy, we're letting them hang around, and they get points off the drive. It's 8 plays, 27 yards, only results in a field goal, however brings it down to a 10-point game. And what was the margin that they were losing by last week to the Packers before they turned around that game? 10 points, and me and Ash both nervously looking at each other going, no, surely not. And when the Lions come out with a 3-play 6-yard drive after that, where we have, and we're going to talk about this later with Morton, he goes run pass as predictable as you like. You're thinking, oh god, please no. But it's punted away. Browns go 46 yards. They do get another field goal attempt. It is missed, however. Andre Schmidt knocks it wide from 56 yards. big break for the Lions for the missed field goal there. But then they get turned over on downs. They try go brave. They go 5 plays. They go 31 yards. But they get turned over. Jameer Gibbs on a 4th and 2 only gets 1 yard. Browns with a really good defensive play to turn it over. That was at their own 24 when we were threatening to get in the end zone. And just as we're kind of really getting frustrated at this point and we're thinking, oh God, could the worst happen? The Lions then force a 3 and out, and one of the plays of the game, Bohorquez hits an absolute mammoth punt into the Detroit half, gets it all the way to about their 30, but it's picked up by Khalif Raymond, who, after a fantastic block from Grant Stewart, gets sprung, and he returns it all the way down the field, 65 yards. Starts off on the right hash, works his way all the way over to the left-hand side of the field. It's really good running from him. It's tremendous blocking from Lions special teams, which up until this point in the season has been sus, let's say. And Raymond houses this thing, runs up into the stands, hands the ball over to his missus and gets a kiss on the cheek for his troubles. And the Lions all of a sudden up 27-10, and you can start breathing just a little bit easier. Browns come out and they punt again, 3 and out for them. You're getting later on into the game here. Lions then end up punting as well, and then the Browns fumble when they're trying to go into desperation mode, and they go. It is a sack from Hutchinson again, forces the fumble on Flacco, and it's recovered by Trevor Nowaski, and there's a penalty on the play. And if this had been called on Detroit, I think Hutch may have killed somebody, but it was called on Cleveland's own Chase Lucas, formerly a Detroit Lion. Illegal formation. There was an illegal formation penalty, but it was declined. The recovery was done, and then the Lions just ice this game. They get a short field, and it's Amon-Ra St. Brown with his second touchdown pass reception of the day, short one from 8 yards. Lions go 34-10, and then this thing becomes a formality. Browns go 3 and out, and then the Lions just basically kneel this game out as all the starters come off and all the replacements come in. Some guys get a few valuable reps here and there, but I mean, for a good chunk up until the fourth quarter, Ash, it was we kind of had the third quarter problem that we had under Ben Johnson. Morton's play calling went stale. There's a bad interception from Goff. We're just very lucky that our defense was hounding Flacco and was causing problems all day long here, and it takes a big play from Khalif Raymond to eventually sneak this one over the line, and sometimes that's all it takes. As soon as that went down, you felt the nerves go, the brakes were let loose, and we kind of beat up on them a bit, but this is kind of a little bit of a flattering scoreline to us in the end. There were a lot of problems putting these guys away, which we're going to need to look at going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Like, as you mentioned, and it is one of the talking points of going too deep, we did kind of get a bit predictable in the second half, and it was also the kind of, I don't want to say forcing the ball, but on sort of what seemed like critical downs. It seemed, I don't know, it was trying to get his confidence. We were going to JMO, so looking at obviously the interception, that's not on JMO, that's just, I think Goff was just getting hit as he's throwing it, and it doesn't get the proper arm angle on it, and it just falls about 5 yards short. That's fine, but then you look at the punts, the next one where they get the field goal, so it's a 10-point game. Third and 4, so on a critical down here, incomplete to JMO. And they missed the field goal, turnover on downs. The 3rd and 2, incomplete to JMO, and then we go for the 4th down. We just don't get it. The next drive, obviously the punt drive, where we then have to punt it away. We tried the 3-yard run with JMO that just instantly blown up, and then we think it just puts us by an 8 ball. We kept them hanging on too long, and it did take a kind of really amazing play from Khalif, so good, and respect to him as well, that when he does the whole thing, like the players do after the game, they're showing a video of it, and I know they've done Hutch's forced fumble on Flacco that Nowaski recovers, but they also got Khalif's one. Not once does he mention himself in it. He literally goes back and he points out the different blocks, like how there's sailors drives his guy into another guy that's trailing in the cleave, and it takes them both out to play.
Yeah,
that's what we've needed. We've needed that little spark, and was to kick up the arse we needed. I know obviously the next one punt, but then suddenly Hutch is awake, forced fumble, covered, great, right, 5-yard line. We score quickly. All this just gave us that little kick up the arse, because it did seem like we came a bit complacent in the third quarter, not just on the offense, but obviously on the defensive bit as well. I know obviously they only scored 3 points in it, but they got a few more plays instead of those like nice 3 and outs we were getting. It was 7 yards, 7 plays, 21 yards, and it was obviously the branch holding, pulling back the forced fumble, the field goal. They only had to go 27 yards, but they take 3.5 minutes off the clock. They started getting back into the game offensively. We let them, and then it took a nice kick up the arse in the fourth quarter to suddenly turn things around. And that's going to happen sometimes in games like game flow. Sometimes you just let your foot off the gas a bit too early, and at least we have to pull ourselves out of it. Probably the same next. Hopefully we can do the same next week. I know Jake Browning's, not the most scary guy. Like right now, he's currently he's 5 or 7 for 43 yards. That's great. Well done. It was annoying, but same time, some great plays in that second half. Obviously, the first forced fumble by Hutch that got called back. That was a great play. The second one, great play. I think you say he just happy slaps it out of Flacco's hands, and you're completely right. And it was a great return by Namaski. The punt return, all these plays, when we needed them to. Khalif, who's an all-pro punt returner, steps up for us, and Hutch steps up for us to get us out of our complacency. What more can we ask from some of our stars?
Indeed, and that's what it takes. And sometimes you just got to grit out these teams. They just come prepared, and they give you their best, and as I say, they're feisty. And the Browns, to their credit, they won time of possession nearly 32 minutes for them to 28 compared to us. They beat you at that. In terms of, they ran more plays than us on offense, 65 to 56. I mean, they were nearly up total yardage with us. They had more drives than us. They came in and they tried really hard, and their defense for at least, the first quarter. In fact, even into the last quarter, they're giving up 20 points over 3 quarters against us. That defense was very feisty. This game was noticeable for quite a few things. Penalties. There were a lot of penalties in this game. There were 12 accepted penalties, 6 on both teams for a combined 79 yards. But there were a whole host of declined penalties as well. I think probably up at about 15 or 16, so ill discipline in that game. Both teams were garbage on third down for most of the game. Browns ended up going 3 of 14. Lions did end up 6 of 14, but a lot of them were later in the game. They were not good on third down for big parts of this game. Lions were 0 for 1 on fourth downs. Seems weird as only having 1 fourth down attempt in a game there, but certainly some issues there with the penalties and that. But in terms of the guys themselves and how they got on, we'll go through the Lions team. So Jared Goff, 16 of 27, 168 yards, 2 tutties, and that 1 bad interception, QBR of 46.3. I mean, not his finest day. The pick was bad, but I mean, it was an efficient day for Goff. Nothing that's going to wow anybody, but he did what he needed to. And again, as always, he bounces back from the pick. It's bad, but he brushes it off, comes out, they make amends for it. But not a game we'll remember of his very quickly.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm about to horrify you. What you've just said, how you just described Jared Goff's game, is pretty much how PFF described his game when in the grade release show. Because I quickly listened to that, and that's basically what they said. Like, I think the exact words were, usually the words game manager is used an insult, but in this game for Jared Goff, it was exactly what he needed to be, and it's exactly what he was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's not the nice flashy one of a couple of weeks ago against the Bears where he's lighting up the scoreboard, all that. He just tried to spread the ball around, and you look at those incompletions. Other than obviously the interception, every other incompletion he had was a drop. So technically, right, if you look at PFF, his adjusted completion percentage is 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the like? That's mad. That is like, what more can you ask? What more can you ask from your QB? And I know fancy people are a bit annoyed at him, probably, even though, why are you picking him up off waivers against an M1 defense? More for you. Did what he needed to do, and the thing that he did best in this game doesn't even show up on the box score.
No,
his pocket presence was so fucking good in this game. Like, I know, obviously, that's part of the reason why the offensive line is getting dinged a lot in pass protection, as we'll get into in a bit with the PFF stuff, but it's because he got away from pressure so much. So there's one where Decker does well to flush Garrett around him, but there's still is Garrett disengages, just about to sack him. So Goff starts running to his right and just throws a perfect ball to Amon-Ra, who's found space in their zone. Stuff like that, not shown up on the box score, but you really will sit there and watch it, and it's so good. Like, I don't want to say it's Tom Brady-esque, but it is. It really is. That's what Tom Brady's big calling card was. Didn't have the best arm strength. I know he had a load of playmakers in the attack with Tampa Bay and that, but that was the one thing that really helped him keep his career going as long as it was. It was elite processing and elite pocket presence. Goff's got that.
Yeah, he did indeed. In terms of, in fact, just a big shout out first to Lyle Shull, who's in the building. So it's good to see Lions fans from across the pond. Hope you're doing well, Lyle. Lisa is in the building as well. Hope you are well, Lisa. And to everyone else who's in the building with us, who keep sending in those questions, etc. during the evening. In terms of the run game, I mean, there was only really one guy the Lions went to here. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 91 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and a tutty on the day for Jar Money. Monty got 9 carries just for 12 yards. Jacob Saylor's got a couple. He got 2 carries for 11 yards, so good for him. J-Mo had one blown up in the backfield. Kyle Allen had a couple as well. But this was the Jahmyr Gibbs show. The vast majority of his yardage coming between Graham Glasgow and Tate Ratledge, and then running behind Penei Sewell on the right end. Got nearly 40 yards in both those displays. He was running at 12 yards per carry behind Ratledge and Glasgow. I mean, we talked about attacking the edges maybe here with them, but we attacked the interior as well, and our interior offensive line against this really good defensive line. I mean, we'll talk the offensive line in a minute, but Gibbs hit everywhere. He hit left, he hit right. It took a little bit of time to get going, but eventually he broke them open and was the right man for this assignment.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give you one guess to which side Myles Garrett usually lines up over.
The left.
The left. That's why. That is like
we ran there once.
Great.
For
exactly.
minus 2 yards.
Exactly, for minus 2 yards. Like, it's good game planning from Morton to attack that right hand side. Not only because Garrett usually lines up over the left hand side, but also you've got a big hulking Penei Sewell there. So there's one run that happens again. Credit to the PFF grade show for really bringing this to my mind. There's one run where we're doing a pin and pull where Sam Laporta comes in and basically gets the edge rusher, and then that allows Penei to pull out and basically get to a secondary defender, which in this case was Denzel Ward. Gibbs is running that way, and Schweizinger reads the run really well, and he runs into the matchup between Sewell and Ward. So what does Penei do? Just pancakes both of them and opens up the run lane for Gibbs. I know to bring in, obviously we can then bring in Monty, but I know Monty's rushing success rate was not good. It was like 11%, which is like 1 percentile for some of the data tracking stuff. But we kind of needed him to do it, and I know this is going to probably sound a bit hypocritical with one of the talking points later, but he was that's what he was there for. He was to be the soften him up 1 or 2 yards, and then you could pivot to Gibbs and start mixing him in, and that he was the battering ram to start softening up their sort of concrete rule for then the supersonic missile of Gibbs to blow them apart, and it worked. Like 4.47 yards per yards after contacts per attempt, 2 forced missed tackles, 2 breakaway runs, which is which is good. So PFF had actually had a breakaway run rate of 50.5%. Like, just an elite game from Gibbs, and it will go under the radar because, he didn't exactly get 100 yards and all this, and loads of other running backs will probably steal the headlines, like Kenneth Gainwell and that. But what is worth bearing in mind, Gibbs by himself in this game got more yards than any of the teams combined, as in, so like the Packers combined, got more than them, more than the Bengals, more than the Ravens.
Yeah.
Gibbs got that by himself.
Yeah.
Damn good game.
Yeah, absolutely he did. In terms of receivers, Amon-Ra was a perfect 7 for 7 on the day with 70 yards, 2 tutties. J-Mo had 2 receptions for 40 yards, but on 8 targets. Not his best day, but one they will work on. Sam Laporta, 3 catches on 4 targets for 39 yards. Khalif had a couple as well, but for everyone talking about J-Mo, Amon-Ra, it feels like the standards are so high for him that even when he has a great game like this, everyone's just like, oh, that's just a regular Amon-Ra game. He's done nothing special, but he's actually playing really bloody well. But we're just so used to him by now. It's kind of just like, it almost just feels, I don't know. Like these high standards are just the norm with him. But he was tremendous in this game. He just caught every single thing thrown his way.
Oh yeah, 100%, and it's bearing out right now. Like, so some of the Instagram accounts I follow doing their players of the week, and they haven't even listed Amon-Ra in their top 5 for it, which is stupid. But his yards per route ran this week, so obviously that's how many yards he got divided by the 9 yards he ran. 6th so far this week, with the guys in front of him your more traditional X/deep threat receivers. Obviously, Stephon Diggs is number 1. Puka yesterday with his elite performance is number 2. Drake London, George Pickens, Xavier Worthy. He had more yards per run route ran than Ibuka, who had a really good game. Quentin Johnston, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Roma Dunze, Zay Flowers, all these big name receivers, and he had better than that. He's just so good at what he does, and just because it's the whole, technically he's a slot receiver, and blah blah blah, he's lined up beside the hashes a lot of the time. So fucking what? So what?
Yeah.
The dude is, he's elite. I know he doesn't get the nice big gaudy numbers and that in terms of outside receptions and all this and the deep threat stuff that Justin Jefferson, Puka, and Jamar Chase, who all probably listed ahead of him by most people, don't care. He is just the perfect receiver. Doesn't drop a fucking thing, and will happily put his face into a linebacker or defensive end's helmet to swing open a run for someone. What more can you ask from him?
If you need a clutch third down receiver in this league, everyone picks Amon-Ra.
Him.
That's simple. If he's that valuable, he's up there in the league. So
let me have a look. I can actually prove that now.
But no one does a third down like Amon-Ra, and it's just his standards are so insanely high that we just consider it a normal game for him would be a way above average game for someone else. So, but yeah, Amon-Ra had his breakout there. Lisa goes, ARSB had 26 fantasy points and only took 1 or 2 with more. Yes, he did. Ash and Jonte finally did well in fantasy. Yay!
Yay! I know, I was happy for that as well. Hang on, let me have a look. Amon-Ra on third downs has an EPA of 1.1.
And where does that rank him?
Take a guess.
First?
Yes.
There you go. The stats even back it up. Moving on. Lisa mentioned earlier I was concerned when Frank Ragnow retired, and I know the rookies will make mistakes, but I think the Lions will win more games than I originally thought, and referring to the offensive line here. And for the 3rd straight game in a row, the Detroit Lions offensive line does not give up a sack. Jared Goff has been less touched than the Virgin Mary herself this last few weeks, where he's been able to do his work as he pleases. And PFF thought that the Lions were very bad yesterday. 5 QB hits and 8 quarterback hurries have been assigned to them. I mean, not really much in the grand scheme of things. 13 against one of the best defensive lines in the league. But the grades are horrendous. Taylor Decker got pinged with a 40 grade on the day. His pass blocking was 26. Christian Mahogany got pinged with a 39 grade. His run blocking was apparently really bad. Glasgow got a 70. Tate Ratledge got a 46, which is just how they say he gave up 2 quarterback hits on the day, and he was penalised as well. And then Sewell at right tackle, he just got an 81 because Penny Sewell is Penny Sewell. He gave up 1 pressure on the day. The 5 QB hits, 2 came through Ratledge, 1 through Decker, 1 through Glasgow, 1 through Laporta when he was matched up against Myles Garrett, which is a mistake we probably shouldn't make. Again, the 8 pressures, 1 comes through Sewell, 1 through Gibbs, 1 through Glasgow, 3 through Decker, 2 through Mahogany. But I mean, the run game wasn't pretty for a lot of this, Ash, and yes, the pass protection I thought was very good. We kept seeing plays of Myles Garrett not getting to the quarterback before the ball was thrown, and they're all going, "Oh my God, Myles Garrett is so good," and it's like, he didn't affect the play. How is this a good example of him playing here? I mean, considering this is against the best defensive line they may face all season, against a defensive tackle, a rookie who has been an absolute standout since he started, a line which just has talent all over it, and they keep their quarterback protected, run the ball just enough. I thought I was incredibly proud of our offensive line and the job they did here. They got a few times. Hell, it's the NFL, it happens. But for the most part, they kept Myles quiet. Mason Graham had the worst game of his life, and he may not have a worse game this year. Taylor Ratledge bitched him all game. I thought they were really good, and screw what PFF say here.
Oh yeah, I completely agree, and I get their reasoning. So like Decker got pinged because obviously, luckily for him, one of the sack he gave up was brought back because of the penalty on it, which they probably took into account. But PFF's reasoning for how they do their pressures is very flawed. I know I've used them myself, so I was having an argument with a Ravens fan yesterday because I was like, oh yeah, the Lions pass rush broke Lamar because, what happened yesterday. And he's like, well, no, it's Aiden Hutchinson. I was like, well, didn't know Aiden Hutchinson got 30 pressures by himself. And he did make the valid point, so obviously he was doing it snarkily, that Antony only got credited with 7 hurries, but he was a QB spy. I think they're pretty eager to, if they see something that looks like a pass rush win, to get, and the QB then throws the ball, to give it as a hurry, which is why Decker's been credited with 3. Like, I guarantee one of them is going to be that rep that I think everyone's seen, where he literally takes Garrett right across Goff's face, and Goff still manages to get the ball off. Like, Decker won most of the things, and yet supposedly he had a 92.6 pass, even then 92.6 pass blocking efficiency, which means that on his 27 snaps, he lost 3, he lost 4. That's a win. The way they were going, as you're saying, they're going on about Myles Garrett, you'd think he'd won, every other rep, most of the reps. Decker lost 4. Ratledge lost 2. Graham lost 2, Mahogany lost 2, Penny lost 1. Against this defensive line, which I agree, I might put the Eagles in there as the best defensive line we're going to face this season. Only losing technically 13 reps, and even that, some of them have got condensed down. Like, there might be a hurry or a hit that's credited to 2 players. It's actually 1 hit because PFF's, again, very weird with the way that they do their pressures. I'm not obsessed with that, and it bears well, because the most disappointing thing on the offensive line was the 2 full starts on the second drive. Why the fuck we full start in our own place? Why?
See, hurries need to be broken up. You need hurries that result in a negative play, i.e. a play that is not completed. Ooh. If a hurry is you watching Tyreek's injury, it's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Tyreek
God.
Hill has been badly injured in the Dolphins game. We wish him the best. Hopefully he is all right. But hurries need changing. If a hurry results in a quarterback completing a pass, it doesn't really matter. And I don't think it should class as a hurry. Hurry should be if you hurry the quarterback, he's rushed into an errant throw, which he balls us up, and then it's an incomplete, something like that. That is a hurry. Just getting near the quarterback and he throws the ball and completes a pass is not a hurry, but they class them as.
Yeah.
So we need to differentiate them.
Exactly. Or hurries if it's something like where it throws them into a throw that is not successful, which obviously brings in the success rate thing, but something like that, because Goff probably got hurried a lot in that game and still managed to convert the sticks. The throw, as I say, the throw where he got hurried, had to run out and then threw for a first down to Amon-Ra. Did that hurry affect the play? No. It's even me, Mr. Statman, is like, this needs better doing, but unfortunately, I do not have the powers nor the mathematical knowledge to do it myself.
Mr. Statman, send me a dream. Bum, 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 bum. That's your new thing now. You're Mr. Statman.
I was it.
Oh no! I'm the Statman.
I've gone from, in the space of roughly 32 hours, I've gone from being Clarissa Thompson to Jonathan Vilma to now the Statman. This is fun.
We need to do something like that. I'm the Statman. Tyreek Hill is going to be out for the best part of a year if that injury looks like the way it is. That looks like ACL, PCL, MCL, YCL, whatever the fuck you can break in your leg. That looks like it's gone. Ugh. Really hoping he is all right.
That is probably at least the bill. It looks like if people don't go and watch it, obviously it's very similar to the Bilal Conley injury for the Ravens.
Yeah, and he tore all three, so that is not good. In terms of just finishing off the offensive stuff, we have to talk about its play caller, Mr. Morton, and it was tough going a lot of this. I mean, obviously the second drive, they were quick, they were efficient, they looked good, they got the touchdown really quickly, but then 10 points came off turnovers before the two late tuddies that kind of took this one away from us. Obviously, one was a special teams touchdown as well. It kind of felt like he just didn't get the right energy going today. Like he persisted with the JMO stuff a little too long. We saw a lot of that Matt Patricia run pass shite that we need to get rid of there. I mean, eventually it worked, but he just sort of has these moments sometimes where I think he just needs to let bygones be bygones and move on from something a little quicker than he does. That kind of was Ben's problem there. So I'd be giving him like a 6 out of 10 for this or something. Well, I don't know. What do you think of Morton and what he did?
Yeah, I know it's obviously caused a bit of consternation in the Discord today when I said it, but yeah, I agree with Peyton. So it's the Monty stuff, as I said earlier. What?
That you agree with Mike Peyton. You need to stop saying that.
It's just on this one thing. On that one thing, I know. That's why I said, "Oh God,
I know." I'm pulling your leg.
I know, but it's just because we even said it on ourselves and the thing like the Monty stuff. I could understand because that was doing its job, but it's the deep shots to JMO because. Again, I'm bringing my own the outside stuff here. The way I was seeing it, and I know, we said it, and then instantly he caught that pass later on in the game. The way I was seeing it, they kept forcing it, and especially on the critical downs, it was like third downs or all these downs are like it would just add it up. I could see if it didn't work, it would destroy his confidence in a way, and it would snowball because JMO is very much a confidence receiver. And luckily for him, he managed to get that one later in the game, and hopefully it'll bounce back in that. But the deep game did not work yesterday. No. Partly because the Goff and JMO connection was off, but also you're coming up against a really damn good offensive line. Like we were saying, if we have to do stuff, use the almost like theoretic stuff, dink and dunk. Like I know that didn't work against the Packers in week 1, but I know obviously Michael Parsons all fired up in that, they don't have the interior stuff that the Browns do, and you know it could work. And with the Packers, you could be scared that they could easily keep score with you. With Cleveland, as we've seen, they haven't scored 17 points so far this season. You can afford to dink and dunk and take your time and kick field goals in certain situations off and go for it, which is obviously why we only had the 1 4th down thing, and that was part of the kick up the arse we needed to get things going. The game plan, whatever it was, just wasn't it today, and it works. We still got the 34, but we still got the points we needed. Obviously, I'm taking the 7 points off the 7 points off for the kick turn touchdown. So you're looking at 27 points. That's good. You've got them. Great.
Yeah.
Next time, when you're going up against Philadelphia in a couple of weeks, who have got better corners, like Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are damn good corners, and I'll say it for your benefits, you don't have to quickly put it in. Reed Blankenship is a damn good safety as well.
What?
When we come against... Yeah, when we come against...
I'd never say that. Never.
But you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
hopefully this is I know he's obviously back to being an offensive coordinator and it's a learning process. Hopefully he takes this under advisement like he did with the stuff having the Packers. And when we come up against Philadelphia, again, they're good they're good defensive line. He is more, especially since, Peter guys were coming to the bit with the sort of rest of the games. Philadelphia don't have a fucking passing game right now to the point where AJ Brown is tweeting stuff where he looks like he wants to be traded.
Yeah.
Which fucking sucks, because in our league, our fantasy league, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are my starting wide receivers. So I want to kill myself. But long story short, we got the points, and yes, you have to keep going at stuff. But when you could see stuff is not working for the 3rd or 4th time, even if it's just for a quarter or a couple of drives, pivot away for it, try something else, because it's obvious they're stopping it or it's just not working.
Yeah.
Don't do a VARS, which is one of your favourite gifts to send, I know.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Right, so offense, 34 points on the board, but there is work to be done with them. Defensively, however, I mean, they only gave up 10 points, but still a little bit of work to do. In terms of the defensive line, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We used 6 guys for the most of this game at the edge position. Hutch obviously having an absolute monster game. 7 pressures, 2 QB sacks, 3 hits, 2 hurries, forced fumble, 3 run stops, couple of tackles as well. Did have 3 missed tackles on the day, which pinged him a little bit in terms of his overall grade, but still walked away with a nearly 93 grade on the day. Tyler Lacey saw some good reps, 27 for him. He got 3 quarterback pressures and a QB hit, a run stop and a tackle. And then Al-Qadim Mohammed, he saw 25 reps on the day. Graded at 83 with his pass rushing, only 2 QB pressures, but did a lot of pocket collapsing. And then on the interior, we switched between 3 guys, DJ Reader, Roy Lopez and Tyleek Williams. Oh, Reader and Lopez, both 40 snaps apiece, 39 for Tyleek. DJ Reader, 4 pressures on the day for him. Started getting a little bit through the interior, 2 tackles, 2 run stops. In terms of Roy Lopez, 4 tackles, 3 run stops for him, a good presence against the run. Tyleek, bit of a quiet day for him, 1 hurry, 1 tackle, 1 run stop, and 2 facets here. 1, the pass rushing Ash, again very good, 23 pressures on the day, just accredited with 2 sacks but 6 hits, also a couple of forced fumbles as well. However, they did struggle a little bit with Quinshon Judkins, and I know his numbers are not tremendous on the day, it's like 3.9 yards per carry, but they were contacting him at the line of scrimmage a lot, and he was getting a lot of yards after the touch. So defensive line against... This sounds weird to say, better against the pass than against the rush, despite the stats there. I was a little bit... There were a little bit of concern there with what Quinshon Judkins did, but in terms of the pass rush stuff, all of them really stepped up. And again, it was another dominant performance overall from these guys.
Yeah, so Judkins looking at his rushing direction, it's mostly again what I said last week. Was it last week or the week before? Basically, it was the week before against the Bears. rushing to the outside. That's what happened. He was bouncing a lot of the stuff outside. I know obviously there's like the touchdown he got was through the interior. There was that really good run he had where he went behind Wyatt Teller and he got 11 on that. But for the most part, when he rushed up between the tackles, it wasn't that good. Like, so rushing, especially behind the centre on either side. And I know obviously they've got a veteran journeyman centre in right now, so it makes sense. But 1 yard of carry going up to the left hand side A gap, and then 1.3 up the right hand side A gap. It was just the edges and linebackers not crashing down on the runs, doing enough on the outside zone stuff, which is a bread and butter of their scheme. Fancy is part of the Shanahan McVay system, blah blah blah. So they're going to do that well. But you're right, the defensive line just had a banging day. Even Pat O'Connor, who has been slightly maligned by people because obviously he hasn't been the best. He had a bounce back game, had a hurry, had a tackle, which was a run stop, got an exactly bang average 60 grade, which is great. Tyler Lacey maybe showing why him getting the nod over Tyleek Williams, over Mekhi Wingo. He was getting some run over Tyleek in certain situations, but mostly this is the Mekhi Wingo situation. 70.5 grade, you say. He had his impact. They all had an impact. The only one who really didn't was Tyrus Wheat, and that's because he had 2 snaps. Not much you can do there. The big shock, and I said it yesterday, and we'll go into a bit. Roy Lopez, the 40 snaps, 25 of them came in pass rushing situations. This is a guy who, when we signed him, was supposed to be a backup for Reader in case, obviously, the Tyleek thing didn't happen, and then we could start rotating around and run downs and do stuff off that. He has found a niche on this third down defense where you have him in at the 1 tech and then you have Al Qadim in at the 3 tech. And Rui Lopez is basically the linchpin for all our stunts on those. We're doing a lot of stuff where Al Qadim and that are all switching around, and it's Lopez just holding up the center and one of the guards. Everything else is built off that. So fair play to the guy. For someone who were like, why we signed this guy for this much in the off season? Found himself a niche, and Tyleek having a bit of a down game after having such a good game last time. That happens. He's a rookie, and he was mostly going up against Wyatt Teller, who is Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio, depending on his alignment. They're good guards. Like Joel Bitonio, I know he's getting on. He's still a very good guard. Wyatt Teller, I know he's again getting older. Has not been as good the past couple of seasons as he was. When Nick Chubb was running behind him and getting all the yards. He's still a good guard, so. It happens, and he'll sort of maybe fire him up when next week he's going up against the not good guards, practice squad level guards, and he will be a wrecking ball.
And what Lopez is doing is he's taking valuable reps, which is helping Reader and helping Williams not be overexposed to reps. And I know Reader did have like 40 in this, but you see the pass rush is there. He's a little bit. He can have a little bit more of a breather. He can be a bit more effective, and that's the critical service he's providing there as well. Is just getting that rotation good. 3 guys, all the same level, rotate them in and out, keep them healthy, and it looks good. Yeah,
exactly, and that's what we want. And then obviously you bring Liam into this situation, who, as much as we love what Reader, Lopez, and Williams are doing. Aleem is just at that next level of pass rusher on the interior. Like oh my god, I'm just imagining, like when I'm saying it now, but imagining it now. Doing that sort of third down set, you can have AQ fully up back edge that set. You can have AQ and Hutch on the edges, and Lopez and Aleem in the middle. And Lopez is still doing that linchpin thing of just holding up a guard. Imagine looping Aleem round, and you have Hutch and Aleem attacking the set, like the left tackle. Let's say if it's a particular matchup where their left tackle's bad, Hutch on his outside, you have Aleem looping around the inside. He's going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Whatever Jeffrey Simmons, and we're going to see what Jeffrey Simmons did yesterday to CJ Stroud. Aleem is going to do that with Lopez next to him, which is just, yes, and that's what we want. That's what we've been lacking the last couple of years is. Having a consistent guy to rotate in the defensive line, because we've had Aleem, and then we've had Benito Jones and Isaiah Buggs. We had Reader last year.
Healthy.
Levi, now Levi when he's healthy. That was 3 guys, so that's usually 3 guys. We theoretically could in a couple of weeks have 5 guys you'd be happy to see on the field at defensive tackle and be like, you know what, they're going to do their job.
Yeah, exactly. So, that contrasting goes, he had some quick pressures in Arizona but wasn't used in that role. No, they seem to be maximising his use on the field. In terms of the linebackers, Derek Barnes continues to impress. 2 pressures for him on the day, quarterback hit in a hurry, 5 tackles, 2 run stops, just gave up 1 of 2 on receptions. Anzo, still looking good, 5 tackles for him, 4 run stops, just 1 reception given up on 3 targets in coverage for 2 yards with a PBU as well. But the story continues to be the rise of third-year linebacker Jack Campbell. 11 tackles, a tackle for a loss, 7 run stops. He did give up 6 of 6 in coverage for 41, but this is more to do with his stuff against the run in this. When Judkins did breach the line, Jack Campbell was there with an Alabama kiss to his forehead. The linebackers, they all played a lot in this game, but we're finally seeing the trio emerge. Parn's been the pass rushing guy, Anzalone been the steady presence in the middle, and now Jack Campbell is proving to be the do-it-all leader that we know he can. He is just looking formidable now, and he's on the tear of his life. But this is what we've been waiting for with this trio, and when Malcolm's back, this unit is going to be one of the best in the league.
Oh yeah, definitely. Again, spoiling a bit from the PFF grade show here, Campbell is playing like a top 5 linebacker and has done since the second half of last season, where he had to start basically being the leader there because Anzalone was out and he was having Ezekiel turn out next to him, and he's continued on. And the great thing about it this week, the run defense has been there. Pass rushing came for it, 2 pressures. He's finally worked out to blitz, and the coverage wasn't perfect. He did give up, I believe it's 6 for 6 in coverage for 41 yards. That's allowable. We can live with that as long as it's 6.8 yards per reception, and he gave up a longer 12. That's livable. We can live with that, and because that's not his main job. His main job in the middle linebacker is to run defend and to blitz. The other guys, usually just Sam and the Will, who's got to cover it only in certain zone drop situations. Blah blah blah. Campbell's doing great. Bounce back. Stewart, when he rotated in the last drive, did okay. Got his tackles in, made a run stop, did what he needed to do. Anzalone missed 2 tackles, which ain't great, but 4 run stops and only gave up 1 catch for 2 yards. We can live with that. And Barnes, get the coverage a bit lacking this week, but he's going against Harold Fannin and Dave Njoku, who are a bit athletic. They can get a bit of separation for him, but in everything else, did what he needed to do. 2 pressures, run defended, got 2 run stops. The linebackers are doing it, and that's without Cunningham there, and that's without Malcolm. Like, they're mixing, they'll, as you say, mix in and they'll do stuff. And Nowaski, who is the sort of weird in between, isn't he? That does a bit of both. A damn good game as well. It's going to be so hard to work out who's going to be cut when Malcolm comes back. Yeah. It probably will be Cunningham, but Cunningham will probably either come back to the practice squad and be there, and we can use him that way, or a team's going to snap him up that needs linebacker help, and he's going to look fucking amazing for them. And that's something we're going to have to live with now. We are the kind of team that we will have to cut good players, and they will go to other places and do well, and we're going to have to live with that.
Who does indeed. Bees has joined the chat. Thank you for Bees. Hope you're doing well. He goes, I hope Reed makes a full and speedy recovery. No more injuries, please. Absolutely. And segueing onto the secondary, he goes, I have to say the refs are on Branch and Arnold like white on rice. There were a lot of penalties called on Tier that would not be called on anyone else. Same with BB.
Yeah.
Per each. But talking of the secondary, we start with the corners, and it was mentioned that Terrion and Amik's relationship with their number of snaps would change. Obviously, DJ Reed, the outstanding corner here for us. 4 tackles for him, targeted 7 times, gave up 3 receptions for 48 yards with that absolutely phenomenal interception and a PBU. And I mean, for him, he gave up 2 of those 3 receptions. He had a rough first drive. 2 of the receptions were on him there, so he only gave up 1 reception after the first drive of the game on 5 targets, sorry. Playing with him, Terrion Arnold pinged for 2 penalties on the day, but 6 tackles, 1 run stop, 2 of 3 on targets for 22 yards, and we are going to credit him with help in that interception as well for his work on the line of scrimmage. Indeed, his run defense grade was up at 80 for the day. It was tremendous in that aspect. He got a TFL off the edge as well, which was really good. He had a really good drive when it came to his run defensive stuff. And then Amik Robertson, 1 tackle, 1 missed tackle, but just 2 of 6 on receptions thrown. So 2 receptions given up on 6 targets for 42 yards. Got pinged on quite a big one. And a PBU for him. Khalil Dorsey saw a few snaps. And Rock Yassin saw 8 as well. He had a couple of tackles on the day and a pass... Well, not pass breakup, but he was targeted once and he didn't give up a reception. But the main 3... I mean, you know, we're seeing over the last 2 weeks, DJ Reed locked down Zay Flowers and made the win possible against the Ravens last week. And this week, after a rough first drive, he's just showing why he's the number 1 corner on this team. Obviously coming up with one of the game-changing interceptions, which we've struggled with recently. He's shown everything that we wanted in him, and this injury has come at the worst time possible. But in terms of his play, he was tremendous again.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, as I say, what I said earlier, week 1 was rough for him, it was rough for everyone. Since then, he's played like a top 10 corner in the league. Like, Walker has come in, and hopefully, the hamstring injury is only temporary. He'll be back hopefully after the bye, and we can, attack the second half of our schedule with him locking down one side of the field, because that's pretty much what he's doing. Like, I'm classing that as anything for an outside corner that's 50%, less than 50% completion rate allowed in a game. You've locked down your side. You've done what you needed to do, especially in this era of zone defenses and zone match and all that, which we do. He does his job. And Terrian, I know he's gotten dinged for some stuff, but the main thing is the one stat I look at it is on the 2 catches he gave up. He only allowed 3 yards after the catch. He's close on all these things. It's just getting the head round. It's just the little stuff, and I know he's working on it. I listened to his finally listened properly to his Close on Sundays podcast with Patrick Satan, and he's working on his stuff. He's even saying he does the preparation. He did so much preparation for the Ravens game. So obviously it's coming out after that, so hopefully we'll get some stuff from this game in it as well. He did so much preparation on DeAndre Hopkins that he knew his childhood nickname. He's doing everything he can. He converted office at his grandparents' house into a film room. He's doing all these things, and yet it hasn't fully added up yet. And maybe this shoulder injury, to make a silver lining out of it, can be a nice sort of reset for him, where he doesn't play against the Bengals and then he comes back the week after, and I know it's a fucking tough game. It's going to go to Arrowhead. You're going up against potentially the best quarterback that's ever lived in Patrick Mahomes. Their receiving game hasn't been good. I know Xavier Worthy looked good yesterday, as we'll get on to, but we've heard all about this about Tyquan Thornton, and he's basically did fuck all so far. Be a nice bounce back for him, so hopefully that happens. But even then, as you say, 80 run defense grade, nearly 80 tackling grade, 6 tackles, does what we want from outside corners. It's no mistake that the 2 DBs that got run stops in this game are outside corners. That's what we want from them. And then everyone else did their part. Like Amik has a bad tackling grade because he missed one of his tackle attempts, 50% less tackle rate, whatever. Did what he needs to do, stepped in on the outside when we needed him to. Great. Dorsey wasn't targeted for 7 snaps. Great, done your job. Rocky Sim, when he came in, 1 tackle, 1 assisted tackle, was targeted. You say, did his job. Maddox, when he had to step in for Kirby, did his job. 1 assisted tackle, wasn't targeted. We've now got that definite know it's now going to get tested this week with having to potentially start Amik and potentially Rocky Sin on the outside and all this. It is going to be tested a bit, and we might have to call up Lauren Strickland off the practice squad. We might have to sign a guy to the practice squad and call him up and all that. But again, we've gone from where we were a couple of years ago, where we were like, why the fuck is this UDFA called Jerry Jacobs on the roster? Why is he starting for us? To now, oh yeah, we can put Rockius in and trust him. We can trust Khalil Dorsey. He's gone from you're on the bottom of the roster. because you're such a good gunner. You
Yeah.
can trust him to take some corner reps now. This is that we actually got some depth. Like, this is what we need, and hopefully it continues, because that's the one thing that all these DBs share, other than Dorsey, who didn't get tackling grade because he didn't attempt to tackle, and the Meek, who obviously missed one of them. Every other DB has a tackling grade above 72.5.
Yeah, it's good it's good fundamental technique, which we've not seen from the DBs for some time in years previous. And then finishing off with the safeties, obviously Kirby and Brian saw most of the snaps in there. Kirby had to go off for a little bit, but another pick, another addition to the Hall of Pain for Kirby. 3 tackles on the day for him. Just the one ball thrown in his direction, which he was able to pick off. Avonte Maddox came in for him briefly. He got 14 snaps in there, had an assisted tackle, but not too much for him other than that. But then Brian Branch. Oh, I love Brian so much. 5 tackles on the day, just 1 reception given up on 4 targets for 13 yards and a couple of PBUs. Passer rating against him was merely a mere 40. Yes, he had the 2 penalties on the day. Only one of them was accepted. The other was taken by Terrion, and it feels like he's getting picked on. But for me, with Branch, I'm starting to feel like he's going to be a little bit of our Cam Chancellor type. He has an edge to him. He has a I don't give a about you mentality. He plays hard. He doesn't care about the rules, and I absolutely love it. He's just secretly become the enforcer here, and they're using him all over the field. I mean, in this one alone with Branch, 20 snaps in the box, 30 at free safety, 11 at slot. They played him at corner. They gave him 4 snaps on the defensive line. Like, they're finally starting to trust. They're just using him all over the field now. They're finding snaps for him here, there, and everywhere. And I just can't say how much I absolutely love him. He might give a penalty here and there. I do not care. Like, he reminds me of Cam in his fuck it attitude, and I love it because we've got him.
Oh yeah, like, the only drawback to how aggressive he is in his play is obviously the penalties, but you can live with it. We can live with it. I know obviously it's something that people have been really cool at, like, oh, he needs to tone it down and that. The only penalty I really have an issue with that he's had called on him so far is the one against Tuffercraft in week 1. Just leave the cheese alone.
Oh, the helmet one. Was it?
Yeah, the helmet one.
Yeah,
leave the cheese. I know you don't like cheese singles. Leave that alone. Don't let him get into your head.
Just don't let him play at Lambeau. I think we just don't let him play at Lambeau. Just let him have the week off at Lambeau.
Exactly. Everything else I can live with. And you're picking up your guy, so I can pick up my guy. What an improvement from Kirby since his 2 years ago. We've had such a journey with him. He actually had a better tackling grade in this game than Brian Branch. This is the guy who you go back to a couple of years, and I'm saying it literally wearing his jersey right now. Kirby was pretty much your single high, no let him near the box because he will do shit. He played really fucking well in this game when he did it. He actually took some slot reps. He had 3 reps in the slot, 11 in the box, but it's still single high, 36 reps in single high. But he was good, and I know obviously he got the gimme of the bloody interception, but he did his job. He did the one thing that I criticised him for in week 1. There was no explosive passing plays. I know obviously we're going up against Joe Flacco, so load that. There was no sort of big run after the catch stuff either. He set the sort of top on the defense. Nothing got past him, and that's what we needed him to do. And then he came down in the box and did what he needs to do. And yeah, it allows Branch to be that box enforcer, to take out the tight ends, to go and clatter into people and absolutely put them into next week.
Yeah,
both safeties did what they needed to do, and fucking love it.
They did indeed. And finishing it off with Kelvin. I know we moan and complain about the first drive touchdown again, but this is a case of, they showed us some stuff early doors. They threw a few punches at us, but I think Kelvin just kind of had a little look at it, and the adjustment again defensively has been absolutely perfect. The pressures they were showing, the looks they were giving, like Flacco had nothing after this. It was field position through special teams and Goff errors that were the only reason they really got anywhere near us after this. And again, we say it every single week with Shep. He adjusts. Sometimes it waits till the half, sometimes it's the next drive, but he seems to be uber quick about finding ways to shut down any sort of offensive success against him.
Yeah, 100%. Like, as I was saying, like the sort of stuff that's the adjustments, even in season, the Roy Lopez thing, the using AQ as a defensive tackle in the free tech and pass rushing downs, which was confusing for us because we're like, where that like wise and masking and all that, the stuff he's coming up with and playing that matchup game. So he must have seen that, okay, because he's usually AQ and he's doing that third down thing was lined up against White Teller. He's like, AQ's got the speed and that Teller's a very big, powerful guard. Let's see if we can get around him. And it happened. It just called a pretty much perfect game. Like, okay, yeah, we gave up some big, like reasonably big passing stuff this year on the first drive. I think 2 of them were comeback routes, like just stuff that it happens. You can't call too much better of a game, really. Like, I know you've obviously got to give me an Inception, your player. They made a great play on the other one to get the other one, but we held that run game in check for the most part. We've absolutely clattered Joe Flacco. We've got a lot of pressure on him, though. But I had one of my talking points. I can say it now. The only criticism I have is that we didn't convert enough of the pressures into sacks. So while Flacco was in the pressure on 45.9% of his dropbacks, which was the 4th highest rate of qualifying QBs, he had the 13th most time to throw, which doesn't sound that bad. But when Goff had the 5th quickest time to throw, it's just stuff like that where we are up there with sacks right now. I know, even in terms of our division, the other team has just got a nice big flashy pass rusher in there. I suppose you're good with the pass rush. We've got more sacks than them, but it's one of these where it's either a really big splash play where we're getting the sack and all this, or it's just it's a QB, it's a hurry and we're getting the pressure, but it's not really affecting much. We need to start getting more of these QB hits. We need to start, speeding up the time to throw, because the other guys that have thrown to Flacco is stuff like Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams, these mobile QBs. The fact that we had the most immobile motherfucker getting at least a league average time to throw against this pass rush.
Let's say Baker's in there in this game. Yeah. I think this is a much different game. I'm with you. We were saying like it was frustrating, the lack, especially with the 2 tackles being in green as anything. It is something to look at going forward. But again, these are nitpicky things that the guys do, but I agree with you there were issues finishing us all off with special teams. And I mean, Ash didn't once have to have a drink this weekend. No penalties from the special teams unit. Grant Stewart had himself a day, a couple of big tackles, especially one that sprung the run. But in terms of the specialists, Jack Fox punting 5 punts, all in the Browns' 20-yard line, 221 yards, averaging 45 yards per punt. Jake Bates, absolutely perfect on the day from him. He was 4 of 4 on extra points. He was 2 of 2 for field goals. Both came from 40 or longer. His longer was 58, which would have been good from about 88, as I said there. And then obviously Khalif Raymond on returns, 5 returns for him for 76 yards. Obviously, the 65-yard one makes the most of that. The other 4 went for 11. He was struggling early on until he broke the big one out. But Jacob Saylors had 2 kick returns for 51 yards. Raymond had a kick return for 30 as well. So they're going at 27 yards per carry. We've been waiting, Ash, and we've been wondering when Phipps Group are going to come to town. But finally, we're seeing life out of them now. Obviously, the specialists we know are great, but the main unit itself looked better in this one, and ultimately was the reason we got away with this one, and it wasn't as close as we might have feared at one point.
Yeah, 100%. And the irony is we did that with 2 of our best special teamers in Varkey and Cunningham. who were really up there. People who read the preview would know that. Like, they were both top 5 for special teams going for us this season. I think it changed a couple of things on the blocking scheme, and it opened up the lanes. And it's the same on the opposite side. We did not allow really a big kick return. What more could we ask? Like, flying into tackles, not getting the penalties on it, as you mentioned. Like, that was the annoying thing. Like, we'd get a nice sort of big hit, we stop him within the 10, and illegal block in the back, pot holding. Oh, now we have to go back, and it's not in a good position. None of that. And yes, Stewart is just making a living. What was it you said? Like, you could almost tell when he's doing it because he's got like his hair flowing, his hands in the air when he's made the big play.
Oh, he does the. It's a certain celebration. It's the celebration he does when you can tell it's him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you spread it. The sort of snaps spread around. Like, obviously, Nuraski also played with him for the most special team snaps. But yeah, Craig getting in there, Dorsey, Sailors, Yasin, all these guys. Hell, even some of the stars gone, like starters in inverted commas. Derek Barnes played the 8th most special team snaps yesterday.
Yeah. Indeed.
Like, stuff like that. Like,
they were all making plays on it.
Yeah. And hopefully this can continue, because it might be in a couple of weeks where it is a tougher game, in inverted commas, against a tougher opponent that actually, is keeping getting into the game by virtue of themselves, and they've got a good offense in that. It might get to the point where special teams in one of these games coming up in the season is the thing that either wins or loses the game. And if we can continue this performance on rather than the first 3 weeks, I'm a lot happier.
Yeah, definitely. So overall, there are some things to work on. There is every single week here, but obviously the win is the most important thing that matters. But cream rise to the top again, and sometimes when your offense ain't doing it, it just takes a special teams play, it takes a defensive play, and there you go. So the team is playing complementary ball, which is positive for us. In terms of the Browns, I know we've not spoken much about them, but I just want to say I'm impressed. When I say impressed, I admire their resilience. This is a team that has parts in there. Quinshon Judkins looked really good. Let's say Harold Fannin Jr. I know he only had the 2 catches on the day, but Harold Fannin looks like he's going to be an absolute menace for them going forward. This team fought. They were blocking their asses off as well as they could against what was a really fierce defensive line for us. And then, of course, on defense, their front 7 still looks good. Their 2 linebackers, Schwessinger, look great on the day. Obviously, the defensive line did cause us some issues. Malik Collins had some plays in there. Garrett was like, this team is better than I think people think it might be. It's just obviously the quarterback situation's just dragging it down really low at the minute, and no offensive tackles doesn't help as well. But I don't know, my overall impression is, they're a hardy, resilient team, and I think they will head in the right direction when they sort the obvious, very big flaws out on this team. But I think they can hold their heads high after this, and I don't think the scoreline was particularly fair to them in the end.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they will spend one of their first round picks that they've got next year. I'm not saying the highest one, but one of the 2 first rounders they currently have will be spent on an offensive tackle because it's needed. Like, even if you do get Dewan Jones back and that, you just need a bit of stability there, because Conklin's on downturn his career, etc., etc.
Yeah.
QB, they're running out of I know it's a massive debate over there. They are running out of time with that. They've got up until the bye. If you get after the bye and Flacco's still there, do not put either of the rookies in for the rest of the season. But they've got Junkins. They've got, as you say, Power Fannin, who's doing great. They've got Buntington, who, I know Vilma was getting mixed up with Hutchinson because, the dude can't pronounce names for shit. But him as a sort of fallback option, he's good. Like, you still got Petonio, who had a down game for sure. This is the most great game of his season so far. They've also got. I will say
with tackles, isn't
exactly.
There?
I will say it though. Next week, this team better start Tevin Jenkins at right tackle.
And they just traded for Cam Robinson, didn't they? So they've now got a left tackle. So
this is a left tackle who was inactive and wasn't getting played by the Texans, who might be fighting the Browns for the worst offensive line in the league this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's better than nothing. But
it's better than nothing, exactly.
Yeah.
But stability at QB, stability at tackle, they'll be fine. And defensively, like, the only thing they need to worry about is, shit, are we going to lose Schwartz to another head coaching gig? Because they played well. The fact is, getting Jerome Baker, who's a fucking flame out, was their second highest graded defender. Shelby Harris, who hasn't been good. Alex Wright, who I hold my hands up, I did roast in the offseason, say, would you rather have Alex Wright or Josh Pascal? Right now, the answer is Alex Wright, because 80 grade yesterday. They had a load of good players that made big splash plays. Help. I know Mason Graham says 7th highest grade. You look at the guys at the bottom for them: Mason Graham, Grant Delpit, Greg Newsom, Rayshon Jenkins, Denzel Ward. They're good players. They just came up against a really good offense. This defense will keep them into things. The only thing that will probably worry them maybe is that the defense will win them a game they don't want to win, and it means the difference between getting that true elite world changer of a tackle like a Penei Sewell, or getting the sort of next tier down that might be able to get there but needs a bit of work. They need someone, I think, that can come in day one next year at that left tackle spot and just hold it down for them for the next 15 years.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
They might not get that. They might not get that because they might play themselves out of it, and then they're looking at a developmental guy like Iku Ekwonu, those kind of tackles where it can work out, but it also might not.
Yeah, I think they're going to surprise some people this year. If people underestimate them, the Browns can bite. But yeah, I think overall it was frustrating for this, but we won, which is the important thing. And now we can focus on some of the issues that were bringing us down that one. And of course, the Bengals are up next. Our tirade against the AFC North continues, and you will hear about all that in a few days' time. If anyone has any last questions they want to ask us before we get out of here, then please do. We've had one in from Ebaum. He goes, been listening to y'all for years. Appreciate you, Ebaum, and everybody else who listens to the pod. He goes, do you think we will adjust to a 5-2 when McNeil gets back? Barnes, Tyleek, Reader, McNeil and Hutch. I would put that as a 3-4. I've always said I want to do the 3-4. I would do it. I would just, instead of having them on the line, I would have them slightly behind. You have Aleem, Reader and Tyleek in the middle, space eating and taking all those double teams on. You rush Barnes and Hutch off the edges, and then you've got Anzo and Campbell in coverage. I think they will do that. I don't think they'll do it in a 5-2 stance, but I'd like to see them do it in a 3-4, Ash.
Good news, we already do it. That is our base down package, pretty much.
Yeah, I think we'll just stick to what we're doing.
Yeah, because that's our that's what our 3-4 over system does. So Barnes, that's why we've paid him so much, and I'm literally writing the article. I'm going to write it this week, so I'll probably save most of the stuff for that. But Barnes, because he can be a pass rusher and a run defense, like play off ball and sort of on ball linebacker, gives you that flexibility. Where on base downs, that's why we play Pat O'Connor, Tyler Lacey on those downs, because they play a 4-eye. Barnes is then basic and outside linebacker, and it looks like a 3-4 base when reality, the way that we see those players, it's actually a 4-3 with that Sam linebacker overhanging. We do that. That's why we have this scheme. And again, I'm really bearing the lead from my article, but for now, I know it's way back. You're going to have to scroll back way back on the website, but I did a piece on at least the 4-3 over scheme when we first adapted it in year 2 of this regime, when we moved from the 3-4 with running with Michael Brockers and all those. This is why we do it, because what on base downs, where it's running downs, you can have a 3-4, and then suddenly on third downs you can do stuff like subbing Barnes out for a meek if you want, or you start moving pieces down like we did against the Browns, where you have Nowaski and Hutch as your edges, and then have a Q and a defensive tackle in the middle. You can start doing stuff like that. And I agree with B is that so far after 4-game sample size, Shep is a better coordinator than AJ.
Bees says that there. I mean, to be honest, I'd start getting really fucking funky. Like, I'd put Mohammed up on that front 5, and then I'd start using the likes of Branch and Barnes blitzing from linebacker with all those. Can you imagine all those guys, pressure coming from AQM and Hutch off the edge with 3 big space eaters in the middle? Then you've got Barnes and Branch coming through the middle for you. I mean, you're selling out a bit, but I could see some really funky shit there. I would love that. But yeah, they'll play with the 3-4 and they'll mix these guys around. But absolutely, that's what Aleem will help a lot better with when he gets here. allow Reader just to be his usual self, and then we can get Tyreek going in the pass game as well. So we are looking forward to seeing that for sure. Confirmed that Tyreek Hill has dislocated his kneecap, and when you dislocate your kneecap, ligament tears follow, so not good news for him. Obviously, again, praying for his recovery really quickly. But yeah, I think that is just about everything from us. Browns very feisty there, but the Lions too good for them. We're quickly going to go through the rest of the NFL slate from the weekend, because there were some great games and even a tie to satisfy our own Ryan McCluskey, who has just been on such a run of good performances lately. Cardinals Seahawks already played last time we got there. We had the Ireland game the other day, the Pittsburgh Steelers, my second team, against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Pittsburgh Steelers fighting this one out. A big recovery in the fourth quarter from the Minnesota Vikings, putting up 15 points when they were all but dead and buried at one point of this thing. They were down 24 to 6, sorry, at one point. Did threaten to get back into this, but the Steelers were able to just do enough to hold them off. And the AFC North is a weird one this year, Ash. We've got two geriatrics, an injured Lamar Jackson, and a Joe Burrow-less Bengals in there at the moment. But the Steelers taking advantage so far on their way to a lucky victory in Ireland.
Yeah, it's always fun to see Aaron Rodgers continuing his drug abuse by sniffing some smelling salts and absolutely throwing one to DK Metcalf. Like, what the hell? But obviously, the big story of the game for me is, as I said earlier, the emergence of Kenneth Gainwell. Like, fair play to the guy. He's always been second fiddle on that Philadelphia team. He was technically second fiddle here, and then suddenly a late scratch for Jalen Warren. He takes his chance by the horns. 19 carries, 99 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Fair play to the guy, and I hope if and when Warren comes back, they use a 2-back system. They keep them rotating, because otherwise they might have a killer run game, which will ease things for A-Rod and all that. And when they come to our ground around my birthday, then we can shut down their run, forces A-Rod to start throwing balls, and a certain QB's career will be ended by this guy once again in full field.
Steelers have been what they are, 6 sacks on that defensive line. The defense is doing all the heavy lifting for this team. So you break them open, I think they're imminently beatable. But we all enjoy the Vikings losing. Vikings sharing the basement of the NFC North at the moment with the Bears. The Atlanta Falcons absolutely whipped like dogs by Carolina last week. Suddenly found themselves a huge, impressive victory over the Washington Commanders, 34-27. Obviously, Marcus Mariota playing for the Commanders right now, so asterisk win, as a certain commentator on air would say if Detroit was involved. But a lot of mental fortitude from the Falcons here. That is a devastating loss last week, and it would be easy to go in your shell and really sort of surrender to this one here. But 200-yard receivers on the day. Bijan had himself a field day. Penix looked a lot better than he did before, almost near perfect there, and their defense doing just enough to win. Much needed win for the Falcons to get them back to 500. Yeah,
definitely, and it's nice because of what happened last year. I do hate the Commanders, so it was kind of nice to see them, though. Now, when Daniels comes back, can you start winning again so I can get fancy points? But this was the Bijan game. Like, 17 carries, 75 yards and a touchdown, and then 4 catches for 106 yards with a longer 69. Like, he just took over this game, and it's good. The only upside for the Commanders is Deebo Samuel seems to be working out there. Luke McCaffrey's kind of breaking out. 3 targets, 2 catches and a touchdown. It's nice to see that the defense is not insurmountable anymore. Like, a certain person, well, he got a sack and a tackle for loss. You couldn't really win the game. You couldn't really go and smack Penix in this game, could you? So yeah, makes it nice and easy. The Commies are now 2-2. Falcons are 2-2. Just muddies up that wild card, which is good for us because it means that, yeah, if we come to the end of the season and for some reason we finish third seed and we have to play a wild card team like these, yeah. I know which team I'd prefer to play because it's a lot easier to shut down a run game and then force Penix to throw than it is to shut down Jalen Daniels.
Yeah, absolutely. It is first win in the NFL for Jackson Dart and the New York Giants with their first win of the year, beating the previously undefeated LA Chargers 21-18 at MetLife. Dart going 13 of 20 for 111 yards and a tutty. Big man interception for Dexter Lawrence as well, whilst on the Chargers side nothing really went right, although Quentin Johnston continues to be one of the best receivers in the NFL right now. But I said I was happy for the Giants when they won this. We are a team who is used to our disappointments and been on the bottom and not winning games, etc. Especially with everything that's happened with John Mara recently and his announcement as well. This felt like, I was really happy for the Giants to win this one. And, Jackson Dart under a lot of pressure, just thrown into the midst of a bad team right now. Fair play to him, does just enough to help them win.
Yeah, and also fair play to Cam Scatterby attempting that front flip on the MetLife turf. I know the injury came after, but that turf has a long history of causing soft tissue injuries, and it claimed another victim this week with Malik Neighbours, who obviously unfortunately tore his ACL, is now out for the season, which I know I like to rag on him with the whole LSU FSU thing a couple of years ago where Ronaldo Green absolutely shut him down for 2 games, but it is a big loss for them. I know obviously they won the game 100% by that pass rush because the Chargers lost their other good tackle in Joe Waltz, and they're now down to a Cleveland Browns Houston Texans offensive tackle situation. Not exactly great for them, but fair play to them. It gives Daboll an extra couple of weeks maybe. Dart looked good, even though he needs to stop taking the sacks, learn when to throw the ball away or something he can develop. He's coming from that Ole Miss system, which is a lot, as we both know, looking at college football is a very weird system translating to the pros, so it might take him a couple of weeks to get used to that. Scatterby, fucking love your breakout, my dude. Please keep going. What is it? I think the meme I saw, the exciting whites they're calling Dart and Scatterby.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that. That's a great name for them.
Yeah, and thank God that Marion Hampton, even though he's now got a shoddy offensive line to run behind, he's starting to break out as well. I want that. I love. As much as I hated him when he was at UNC, now you're away from that. Go do your thing, my dude.
Absolutely. B says, will Daniels be back when we play the Commanders? Well, we don't play Lionel Richie's backup band till the 9th of November, and he's on the periphery of playing again at this point, so I would assume he will be back long before we play them. We've still got about another 5 weeks to go yet, and he was hit and miss for this game this weekend. He's probably going to be back for the next one. So answer is yes, he will be back by the time we play them again. And we want to kick his ass. We don't want him sat on the sideline. We want his ass on the field, firm to kick. We had a blowout this week. The Houston Strouds, their first win of the year over the now winless again Tennessee Titans, and nothing is going right for Tennessee right now. Obviously, the new quarterback, Cam Ward, has just got absolutely nothing to work with whatsoever. When your number one running back is Tony Pollard, you're boned. He looks like he's forming a good relationship with Eli Kayamano, but that defense is anemic. It can't do anything to save its life. And it kind of felt like the Texans... I don't think this really says much about the Texans so far. It feels like they need a more impressive win here, but a win is a win. You'll take it. Titans, however, they look like they could do with another number one overall pick to protect their franchise QB, and maybe that's what they're going for.
Yeah, the big one for the Strouds coming out of this, to try and impress you, Shania, since you said you won't impress that much. The breakout of Woody Marks. This seems to be the week of rookie running back breakouts. We had Hampton and Scatterby earlier. Where did this come from? I know I had him on my bench, and I've got Mixon sitting on one of my things, but taking the lead back role there, so as we saw when we played him, he's usually a third down back, but 17 carries, 69 yards and a touchdown, 5 targets, 4 catches, 50 yards and another touchdown with an absolutely great swing pass. That's what they needed. This needed someone to pick up the slack. As much as Nick Chubb is a great running back, he doesn't have that breakaway speed. He doesn't have that elusiveness, and that's what Marks is bringing him. And it helped. It definitely helped get the pressure off Stroud, and he could start doling the passes out. But yeah, for the Titans, like, I know that they're up there. They were up there with the Giants, and now they've obviously overtaken the Giants in terms of he's not, their head coach is not for long. He's already having to give up play calling duties to his quarterbacks coach, and yeah, I mean, I was good, but when your big free agency signing does not catch a single pass on 4 targets in Tyler Lockett, you don't have a run game to speak of, and your leading tackler has 17 tackles, you know you're in a bit of a shoddy time when you're nearly getting 20 tackles in a game. Like, Cedric Gray, great game for you. Jeffrey Simmons with that 1.2 second sack on Stroud, great game for him.
Yeah. No
one else really on that team could really hold their heads high up right now.
No, they cannot indeed. Thank you, Lisa. Hope you have a great evening. She goes, in my closing thoughts, since I need to go, MCD says Aleem Clock, before he's back from injury, is about to start. It is wonderful news for us all. Keep well, Lisa. We'll see you again soon. Appreciate you being in the building with us. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Eagles win 31-25 in Tampa, and for nearly 3/4 of this game, the Philly Eagles, Ash, absolutely kicked the Bucks' ass. And we don't like the Bucks because they play bully ball, but the Eagles were twatting them around all over the place, and the Bucks kind of threatened a comeback, but it never felt realistic. But with the Eagles, just 200 yards of offense, and they get 31 points. It feels like they're playing at 70%, the Eagles, but like all top tier teams, Super Bowl winners, 70% and coasting for them. They can still go on the road and beat really good opposition right now. It feels like they're vulnerable, but they've got a lot more to give, and it's scary when they start getting even better how formidable they're going to be. They murked the Bucks for a lot of this.
Yeah, and yet Jalen Hurts only passed for 130 fucking yards. Someone who is, as I mentioned earlier, a fantasy owner of both AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Can we, it was so nice, that sort of the fourth quarter last week where you remembered you could pass the ball. Can we please do that again? Though, obviously, performance of the day for the Eagles goes to Braden Mann for that intentional safety at the end of the game to ice it. Good game awareness there, my dude. Smart play. And then for the Bucks, I know obviously they were down a couple of players. Obviously, with Godwin returning, he seemed to step back into things for the most part. Though needs to go and do the Amon-Ra, catching only 3 of your 10 targets isn't exactly good. But I could say the same for the other guy, Ibuka, 10 targets, 4 catches, but 101 yards. Love that. It is scary that the Eagles are 4-0, but they haven't really got out the second gear. Like, when they finally start against it, I'm half worried they're saving it for us, and it's just going to turn into an absolute ding dong battle. And I don't know if we can win that right now. But I said the same about the Ravens. So, well, hope that it seems they know their identity. They know they're a team playing for January and February, not for right now. So they can do what Spags has done for years with the Kansas City Chiefs defense of just, fuck around and find out. See if you can win a game by just purely running the ball and not really passing. See if you can do it the other way. Find stuff out about yourselves, because you've got the talent to then, when it comes to January and you're forced into situations by like us or the Rams, you can win those kind of games. So I respect it, but just start passing to AJ and Smith more, please. I'm winless in our Broad Alliance League, and I need to show that I actually know what I'm talking about.
I know. Gotta love the respect to the craft. Next up, the bad Carolina Panthers showed up this week after their obliteration of the Falcons the week before. The Patriots doused them 42-13. Patriots sitting at 2-2. We've got a little bit of fight under Vrabel now, and Drake May, he looks settled in the league now. 14 of 17, 203, 2 tutties, couple of rushing touchdown as well. Things starting to just feel like it's clicking there for him.
Yeah, and of all those beautiful graphs that Courier Cowboy points out, Drake May's in the Jared Goff zone right now in terms of EPA and efficiency and all that. So, a certain person who had him in his QB1 in last year's class, might be vindicated. Also, Trayvon Henderson, first touchdown, though. They need to sort out that backfield. You can't have a three-way backfield split like this. Two, really, it's understandable. You need to work out which one. Who's your two? You can't have three because Stevenson, 9 carries. Henderson, 7 carries. Gibson got 6 carries, but 4 of them were in goal line situations. Work it out, people. Blow up people. Just work it out. Wish Carl Williams would be a bit more involved in that offense because he's really explosive. Stephon Diggs finally remembered how to be a receiver, and then the opposite side, Tech did his best, but there's only so much you can do when their third leading receiver is a guy called Bryson Tremaine, who even me with my encyclopedic knowledge hasn't really heard of. The Panthers are a shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
Last week might be another aberration, in which case they sort it out as much as we both like Bryce. I don't know what more they can really do. He's got good bookend tackles. Is it just you can't blame the defense because you only put up 13 points. You have Cinch has gone wrong, and it might be that the Canales isn't the head coach for them, but they might be setting themselves into the Chicago Bears situation where it's you fire the head coach, he brings in his own QB, it doesn't work out, so you fire the head coach, QB flames out. They're starting to get like that, and that's not what we want.
No, it is not. All right, let's get through these last few games and get out of here. We weren't the only team who struggled with an underdog this week. The Buffalo Bills were pushed very, very, very close by the New Orleans Saints. This was a 21-19 game to the Bills, with 7 minutes to go in the fourth quarter before they were able to get a couple of scores to even this out. But we weren't the only ones who struggled this week, Ash. Cole Bishop continues to be a monster on that Buffalo defense, but the Saints got their licks in. The Bills struggled in this one, and it's indicative around the league. It's not everyone can struggle on their day, and the Saints really threatened an upset here.
Yeah, it did, and it's hard to judge the Saints because they had 0-4, but they actually really showed fight against the Bills here, and they had some good plays from people like Kamara looked okay with doing what he does. Shaheed just keeps catching those random targets, keeps stretching the field on the third downs, but the defense just couldn't keep him in it, and they kept him into the most part, and then obviously just gave up everything at the end. But they are closer than what we thought. They might be okay next season, but it's just, can they get an actual QB and maybe fix offensive line a bit? I know obviously they've now lost McCoy for the next couple of weeks with an ankle sprain, high ankle sprain, so that's going to really hurt them. But at the same time, you look at the other side, they didn't get themselves out of second gear other than that massive play to Shakir, the 43-yard touchdown. Nothing really. They didn't really have to do too much. No. Nice to see that Keon Coleman's breaking out, though, for 3 catches on 4 targets for 45 yards. Come on, my guy. That's what I want. I want to see my old Keon back, the guy I was obsessed with for 2 years.
Absolutely. The Jacksonville Jaguars, man said they were going to go win against the 49ers, and win they did, 26-21, and second quarter, they scored 17 points unanswered, I think it was. It was absolutely crazy going, but kept Christian McCaffrey to less than 3 yards per run. Brian Robinson only went at 4 yards per carry, only had 5 carries there. They entirely put it on the arm of Brock Purdy, just coming back from injury. He had to throw it 40 times, do a couple of pick skis in there. Devin Lloyd, 2 picks on the day for him. The superstar former Utah linebacker on the day, whereas the Jags defense made just enough plays here, and this 49ers team is broken, Ash, and this is a great win for the Jags. They're 3-1 at this point on the year. They kind of got under everybody's radar.
Well, yeah, saying that the 49ers are broken is the correct way to put it, considering their top 2 receivers. They're already down bad at the outside receiver position. Both Parcel and Jennings leave the game with injuries, and they haven't practiced today. They are pretty bad. They held McCaffrey on the ground, but 11 targets, 6 receptions for 92 yards. Jake Tongs, the breakout tight end, 58 yards. They had all the yards in the world, but the Jags just did enough to keep themselves in it. And maybe it's Liam Cohen trying to show that his legal sign system does actually stealing system does work. Maybe a certain Michigander could have took some notes off him to make sure his sign stealing was legal.
Yes, indeed, he would. The famed adventures of Indianapolis Jones came to an end as we saw the man he used to be. The Rams beat the Colts 27-20 in what was, I'm assuming, a career day for Puka Nacua, with 170 yards and a tutty on 13 receptions. Stafford was slinging nearly 400 yards on the day for him as he picked the Colts defense apart. Daniel Jones tossed a couple of picks in the air to the Rams defense. Again, it was I think it was a multiple interception. It was Cameron Curl, the former Miami safety, I think it was, but he's
Washington.
A former Washington safety. No, I mean out of college. Was Cameron Curl Cameron Curl was a Miami safety, wasn't he? Anyhow,
I have no idea. I know he came from the Commanders because he was good, but
But anywho,
I will not
Rams.
stand for this Arkansas. Out of Arkansas, just looks it up. I will not have this Indiana Jones slander. This game loss was not on him. It's down to one player and one player alone.
Adonai Mitchell for running into the end zone without the football. Oh,
and then getting a holding penalty and the massive touchdown run as well.
Yeah.
I remember that draft class, and everyone's like, I admit, that's why we didn't draft him. Pure and simple, that's why we did. The team stayed away from him, because he doesn't. It's just not fully there. The football IQ, like Daniel Jones did all he could, but Curl is a good safety, and it was a Cinderella run, but that loss was not on him. If Adonai Mitchell was not a dum-dum, they would have won this game by a touchdown.
They would.
That was a 14-point.
Yeah.
It's a 14-point swing, and Adonai still got nearly his 100 yards, and that's propped up by a 75-yard long.
Yeah.
The Colts could have won this game. They could be 4-0 right now.
Yeah.
Which, if you ask someone before the season, out of the Chiefs and the Colts, which one would be 4-0, which would be 2-2? You would not have put them the way around they are.
No.
But fair play to the coup. But Matthew Stafford will probably not go into the Hall of Fame, not because of all the stuff he's the stats and that, because he is a fucking wide receiver's dream.
Yeah,
we might be on the verge of him having generational receiver seasons with 3 different guys for him. He was helped Calvin. But obviously, Calvin was great by himself, but Calvin's greatest seasons with Stafford. Cup had his greatest seasons with Stafford. Now Nacua might be the recipient of the Stafford touch, shall we say?
Kenny Golladay had 2,000-yard receivers with 2,000-yard seasons with Stafford as well. So there you go. Just a couple left now. Bears beat the Raiders, and the Raiders are getting atrocious apart from Max Crosby. Turned it over 4 times. Pete Carroll, the old-age dinosaur that he is, didn't even try and go for a 4th and 2nd. Left his kicker with a big field goal, and old Lions long snapper Scott Daly apparently ruined the play for the Raiders with him picking up the long snapping measures there. But this was more the Bears were bad than... I mean, this is not a good win for the Bears. They beat a very terrible team, and it's more they won in spite of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. They got some help by Geno Smith and throwing 3 interceptions, which is bloody great, especially since one of them was caught by Tyreek Stevenson. He's bouncing back. But again, you missed. You mentioned about it. The only good raider was Max Crosby. What about Ashton Gianti finally returning to his self? Halfway through that game, he switched. He went from. I know he's been. Something must have happened where he was getting coached into not doing his old stance. Halfway through this game, he went back to his old stance, and suddenly he was back. He was back, and I love it, especially since, as you know, we've got him in fantasy. But yeah, Raiders should have won this. Well, yeah, if they weren't coached by Pete Carroll, they might have won this game. But at the same time, 1-3, it means they can maybe get their QB or sort out the offense. I know Colton Miller got injured in this game as well. He might be out for a bit as well.
Yeah.
Fucking what? Like the Bears are 2-2. Like the Bears, imagine that Bears with fans in the offseason predicting to have the same records as the Chiefs. I don't think they would have seen that they would have been 2-2. I'm going to keep digging onto the Chiefs. Fuck the Chiefs.
Yeah. Speaking of,
exactly.
We broke the Ravens. 37-20 victors Kansas City Chiefs, and at no point in this game, apart from a little bit of the first quarter, did the Ravens look like they belonged here. The Chiefs stole a lot of what the Lions did against them the other week, and Lamar completely and utterly nullified and then left the game injured. He was 14 of 20, but he'd thrown a pick. He'd only gone for 147 yards, and then Cooper Rush has to come in. But Patrick Mahomes just picked them apart. I mean, they didn't necessarily run the ball that well. It was just all through the air. He was throwing it all over the place to a whole variety of different targets, and the Ravens D-line is dead, for want of a better word. It's dead. It's gone. It's injured, and they're now 1-3, potentially staring down the barrel of a Ravens fire sale, depending on what they do going forward. But they've lost 3 high-profile games now against 3 high-profile teams that are all going for a Super Bowl. And, I mean, you're next up coming up against the Texans and the Rams. I mean, those aren't the sort of teams you want to face when you're not in form at the minute. But the Ravens just don't look right. I think the injuries are hurting them, but I think we did figure them out a little bit.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And obviously they are focused on defense now because obviously Madubuike is out for the season with his neck injury, and I think we showed how much that their blitz scheme relies on having him in the middle, sort of clogging up attention to open up the gaps for the blitzing players. And it proved like the Chiefs' offensive line is not exactly infallible right now. I know obviously got Creed Humphrey, who is the best center in the league. Smith is a good guard. The guy they drafted in the first round, I predicted, has looked okay at tackle, but they're not infallible. Their leading receivers, you pretty much mentioned, was Xavier Worthy with 2 end arounds, and one of them was a 35-yarder, the other one was a 3-yarder. I hate that Rashard Smith isn't getting used as much. I know he only had 4 carries for 9 yards, but he's got stuff there. Like the receiving game, that was there. That's the Rashard Smith I remember from SMU. 3 catches, 27 yards, 4 targets. Like, that's good, but the scary thing is Mahomes able to spread it around. Like, Worthy got 83 yards. Kelsey nearly got 50. Hollywood Brown nearly got 40. Schuster nearly got 40. As you mentioned, Smith nearly got 30. Pacheco caught some passes. Kareem Hunt caught 1. Tyquan Thornton caught 1. Noah Gray caught 1. He's able to spread it around. He might not have the elite playmakers right now, and I know Rashee Rice is coming back soon, so that might help him a bit, but he was efficient enough, and yeah, he picked apart that Ravens defense, and we maybe showed how to do it.
Absolutely.
You would have thought that. The last time that we heard stuff like that, it was Patricia against the Rams and against the Chiefs. Remember that Chiefs game that we nearly stayed into until like the last 2 minutes of the game, and then Mahomes went Mahomes.
Oh, that's when Kelsey did that stupid fucking rugby pass, wasn't it? And that was the big play. Kelsey did the little shovel pass to somebody when he got the reception, and he did the little handoff, like the weird hook and laddery thing. Yeah, I remember that one. That was balls.
Yeah, but poor. Yeah, I'd say poor Ravens, but they brought him on themselves. Like, I don't like they're in that sort of in between zone that like the Browns maybe in with Stefanski and that where he can like when stuff goes right, he can get you to the playoffs, but can he get you over the hump?
Yeah.
No. But is there an upgrade out there?
Yeah, I don't think there is. I don't know. You don't know with him, but yeah, crazy stuff there. And then the final one, or second one now, because one's ended, but the tie, the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers after one round of overtime, 40-40, the Romeo Doubs versus George Pickens game. And not a great game for defenses. Only 2 players registered sacks in this game. Micah Parsons, the absolute superstar, on one side, and James Houston on the other.
Oh my god! Take your flowers. Well done. I just don't know. Like, Dak suddenly remembered how to have pocket presence, which definitely helped him. He also was obviously helping it. He went up against Parsons like every day for most of his career. Pickens went off. Javonte Williams had a good game. It seems he's up and down. When he has a good game, they win or do good. When he doesn't, they do bad. Makes sense. Jordan Love actually looks kind of good. I know he's only got 58 QBR, but he did what he needed to do. Spread the ball around. So Dobbs obviously had the breakout kind of stuff with the 3 touchdowns. But Josh Jacobs was their leading receiver. Matthew Golden got some. Tucker Kraft got some. Like, spread the ball around. Even Savion Williams, someone that I profiled for us in the draft, caught all his targets. Fair play to him. Dontavian Wicks caught half his targets. That's an improvement for him. But the end, 2 sort of, I'm going to say it, pussy-ass coaches. Stick field goals in overtime. Don't really go for it. Sometimes you got to put your sort of the head on the block to win some games, and neither team really did. And so we were left with what we were left with, 40-40, the second highest ever overtime game, tied overtime game, I believe. So at least you got that going for you.
Yeah, exactly. And so the tie. Ryan was very happy with that, because Ryan pontificates for the tie all the time, and eventually he got one. He wasn't feeling well last night, but when he woke up this morning, apparently he was right as rain. And that is that for the slate. Of course, the game's going on at the moment. The Bengals are getting twonked by the Broncos, 21-3. Jake Browning is 8 of 15 for 66 yards, and they've only got a field goal to their name. Bo Nix, apparently with his most passing yards in a single half on this team, so maybe something for us to aim at there. And the end of the Dolphins-Jets game is coming down to a thrilling conclusion. It's 27-21 to the Dolphins, but the Jets had just scored.
Really good catch by Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, but they've only got 2 timeouts left. I think they can get the ball back, but they're not allowed. They can't give up a first down. They can get the ball back. They're probably going to have about 50 seconds left, but they're going to need to march the length of the field. So that one is ongoing. So Miami desperately need this win, and for Aaron Glenn, this would be a bad loss for him, but we will see with him going forward. And that is everything. The Browns game is in the bag. Week 4 is in the bag for us pretty much. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest before we get out of here, Ash? Because it's 3 a.m. here. I need some food and then some sleep. What?
Oh my god, I didn't even notice. It was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it is late. We do this for you guys. We do this for the love. Other shows coming up. The next one, where the hell are we at now? It'll be the college podcast on Wednesday as far as this channel goes.
Tomorrow. Technically tomorrow.
Technically tomorrow, yes. The college football podcast will be back on Wednesday. We'll be reviewing week whatever the hell it is. I think it's week 5 at this point. I'm tired. Then of course we'll be back for the Bengals preview later in the week on the main podcast, probably on the Thursday or the Friday. We will let you know with that one, and then we'll be back to normal. Matt is back for the preview. So the carnage is over and peace shall be restored in the Roar of the Lions UK galaxy. But you can find us everywhere at Roar of the Lions UK, all over the internet. Just type us in and you will find us. We really appreciate you all. Thanks ever so much. Was there anything, Ash, or are you all good?
No.
No, we're all good. We're going to bed, you all, so enjoy your evening. We will see you soon. Another fantastic victory for the Detroit Lions. And let's hear to more of them. We shall see you soon.